Let the dancing begin. I didn't see that coming.
of silence, a moment 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 of silence.
A classic, and at the same time, progressive.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're hopping into our semifinals week here over at Unified Minors Leagues. Once again, my name is Icarus. I'm joined here on the desk by none other than Nightstar. I see you're joining me tonight and wearing a hat. I got the Oxalotl hat back tonight because we got to represent one of the best animals in the animal kingdom here. But before we go on about that, Nightstar, we got a really interesting matchup tonight here because we got two very powerhouse teams coming into this semifinal matchup here. Cafe3 and MG Eclipse hitting the rift tonight.
Definitely two titans of the UML about to clash here tonight. And yeah, about the hat. I knew I had to get on the hat train today, knowing that I missed out on the last two, maybe even three times we cast it together. So, got to get in on it tonight here as we are headed into the semifinals. So that means one step away from the grand finals. And the other fun part about this is the fact that we've gone from best of threes to best of five. So our last two series on this stream will go possibly to 10 games. And it should be an exciting part because now you're going to add that extra little bit of freedom to play around with the draft and maybe some of them those in-game combinations. Maybe you let one of these big one-trick picks go through just to test the
Mhm.
waters.
And that's it's interesting that you bring that up because it's something that we saw last week as we were talking about you don't have a whole lot of room to switch in between drafts and stuff like that. And this week we might see a little bit more adaptation, but it's really hard to say because we're looking at two teams here that have gone relatively undefeated so far. Cafe 3 has not dropped a single game this entire season. They went 10-0 during the regular play-ins, and then here in playoffs, they have won both the round of 16 and quarterfinals in 2-0 fashions. And MG Eclipse, outside of a forfeit and losing a singular game to a one trick style in one life to play, their Swain Trundle combination that we see in the bottom lane, those are the only games they've lost. Realistically,
Mhm.
that game that they played in the round of 16 is the only game that has been dropped between either one of these two teams. So we have some very, very high stakes in terms of win conditions here for these two teams, or win records. So we got some room to play with, but do they really want to be dropping any games?
Yeah, this is going to be definitely a high octane game. As mentioned before, two powerhouses about to take to the rift here. And one of the interesting things, of course, has to be where are these teams playing towards? And uh, I feel like this top lane is probably not where the action's going to be happening because when we look
Yeah.
back in the match histories, there's a lot of tanks played up in that top side. So I expect some maybe quirky tank picks, but tank picks nonetheless up there.
I was going through some of the match histories from just last week, and both of these top laners pulled out a single champion apiece. The top laner for MG Eclipse pulling out a Sejuani, and the top laner for the side of Cafe 3 pulling out the Malphite in all of their games. So, top side of the map isn't going to be where that
Mhm.
focus is. I was also curious to see, though. I was looking at these two teams, and I'm looking towards the bottom and middle side of the maps for both of these teams because that's where you're going to see a difference in clash up, though. I've seen a lot of scaling come out from Cafe 3 so far, but we got to look at some of the numbers of these early game champions being played by the hands of MG Eclipse. The Echo in particular that they pulled out last week, and they're willing to play the Misfortune as well. So some more lane dominant play styles coming in the early stages towards that bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and for MG Eclipse, the other thing to note is the mid laner plays a whole lot of control mages. He plays the Victor, he plays the Ori, he plays even a little bit of Azir. And one of the key things to keep note of is Cafe 3. They've brought out the Kassadin. Kassadin loves control mage matchups. So, a possibility we could see a Kassadin late in the draft here coming out from the side of Cafe 3. And also, just to keep note of, the one time we might see something that's not just a tank matchup up in that top side is Jin Jin is an Alawi one trick. So you've seen teams constantly go and ban that away from him, and he hasn't gotten his hands on it quite yet. But Alawi keeps on tank matchups. So if they accidentally ignore that, they are just going to be in a whole world of hurt up top side.
I have been playing a lot of games on the PvE this past couple of weeks, trying to get some games in on the upcoming preseason changes. And that first strike rune, let me tell you, if you're an Alawi or Gangplank player, I think that this rune is going to be your absolute best friend. It's old Klepto coming back for you, Nightstar, as we are heading into this pick and ban phase of game one here between Cafe 3 and MG Eclipse. Like you said, Graves is going to be the first champion taken off of the board here. Not want to give over some of these more scaling picks. I do think that scaling is going to kind of be the name of the game for a lot of these games here, just because those tanks on the top side do like to get a couple of items underneath their belt. Cafe 3 in general does like to draft more towards the later stages of the game, so I want to see how MG Eclipse is going to be pushing the tempo of these games moving forward as they take Malzahar off the table.
Yeah, and for MG Eclipse, it really just has to be playing around this bottom side because Heppo, he's on control mages. He's going to be looking to facilitate his jungler, and unless Jin Jin does get his hands onto that Alawi pick, is going to be mostly Resident Sleeper up top side. There could be a couple of picks, maybe a Camille gets thrown in there, maybe an Aatrox, but at the same time, those are also champions that are fine, kind of playing things slow up in that early stages of the game and allow the rest of the map really play out before they get online themselves. And looking at some of these other bans here, we've got the LeBlanc, we've got the Camille, we've got the Malzahar taken away. Malzahar, a pick that has risen up quite a bit when it comes to visuals, because people have mostly ignored the champion because of how not really one-dimensional his playstyle is, but how basic and not very diverse his playstyle is. Very similar to Annie in that regard, where it's a very simplistic champion, but it really does what it needs to do. And now we're gonna look at some of these. Next one is a Jhin ban, so Stringy Bear won't have that. Really facilitates the mid game as well, being able to play around these objectives with the dragon. So I do like that ban here. Now it just comes down to what this last ban is coming in from the Eclipse.
It seems like it's just a whole lot of general bans coming out from both of these teams here. They want to make sure they're taking away little power picks here, left and right. Kha'Zix being taken off the board as the final ban. It is going to be this first rotation of pickups that I think is going to really set the tempo for how this draft phase is going to move forward, though. When you go into game one, especially on a best of 5 series, you don't always have the most specific plan of attack versus your opponent. More or less of the times you want to be playing for your own individual win condition here. And for Cafe3, that means scaling in the bottom lane. Last week they played a lot of that Aphelios. Thresh and Lulu, 2 champions that their support Kilroy plays, are up and available if they want to put some more power behind this Aphelios. So already starting off this game the way I thought that Cafe3 was going to be looking to approach the draft, they want scaling in the bottom side of the map. They're most likely going to pick some kind of scaling pick mid as well, and they look through their jungler Hubbard for a lot of their early aggression here.
MG Eclipse taking a look at the MF right now, which isn't a bad pick. Of course, in the early game, you do relatively well, able to kind of clear and control the lane against an Aphelios. And when it comes to that mid game, it really dominates a lot of these team fights against an Aphelios because of that area of control. And there is the hover, and it is going to be the lock-in. The Lowy will get locked in for Jhin, which I think really is just a call out towards Panda, saying, hey, you don't have a good carry top laner to play against my Alawi. And Cafe3, they go ahead, lock in the cannon. Still, I mean, relatively good champion, but you will get outscaled if you don't get ahead in this 1v1 matchup, at least in the 1v1 against an Alawi.
I love to see that confident lock-in, though, from Cafe3, because this is exactly what you were saying, Nicer. It was a call out saying Panda doesn't have a champion pool wide enough in order to deal with this Alawi pick, and he slaps back immediately with this Kennen pick. The confidence coming out here from Cafe3 is showing me that they are understanding that they left the Alawi up intentionally and that they had something planned and drafted for that. I'm a little questioning here on the Xin Zhao pick coming in as the final pick here. They have to have a pretty big confidence in their support pool, because I'm imagining that the Thresh and Lulu are going to be taken away as punishment for not locking in one of the supporter champions right off the bat. It does mean that we're going to be going toe for toe, though, in terms of each side going ADC, top laner, and junglers all being picked up here. So now it leaves those mid lane and supportive pools picks left open here. What is it going to be for MG Eclipse? Because, like I said, they could be looking to target that support pool, but they could also be looking to ban out that Kassadin we were talking about earlier, making sure that they provide some space for Heppo to play some of these control mages in the mid lane. But it is going to be the Lulu ban to start off the second phase of bans here.
Yeah, for MG Eclipse, they don't necessarily need to ban away the Kassadin if they do have a pick against it, because of course they do own that last pick in the draft, so they are able to hold counter pick. But I think their next ban is really going to telegraph what they want to do with this 4th pick. If they go ahead and ban away the Kassadin, they're looking to blind pick here on R4 rather than save it for last pick and maybe hold some sort of cool support pick perhaps in for that R5, but for Cafe3, they've banned away the Yumi, which somehow made it through all the way of the first phase. Definitely a little bit unexpected. But now for Cafe 3, do you go ahead and ban away one of the control mage uh, champions like the Oriana that's going to control space here, or Nazir who has the possibility of shuffling out your Kennen who is trying to get into that backline?
I'm curious to see if the Victor in particular is going to be taken away here, because I do know that that champion has been played by both mid laners in the past couple of weeks of play, so it is a shared champion within their pool that they feel comfortable pulling out in these stage games here. Instead, it will be a Pike ban coming out here from the side of MG Eclipse and a Silas ban to match it from Cafe 3. A mid lane pick will be locked in here from the side of MG Eclipse in that Azir that we were talking about. So either Victor or Cassidy is still up and available for Cafe 3. I must say, I'm not too impressed with this rotation of picks coming in from the side of Eclipse, because you left the Thresh open, and that's where we're seeing the Huffer on as well. You're also giving an opportunity for that mid lane counter pick as well. I think that you could have easily taken away the Thresh in this situation if you're MG Eclipse. Make sure that you don't give that classic pairing over to the Ophelio Thresh for Cafe 3, and then also save, as you're mentioning, counter pick for the middle lane here. So everything's kind of going up Cafe 3 in terms of what the tempo is, how they want to be drafting this final rotation of picks here. It will be up to MG Eclipse to prove to us that they have some game plan in their final pick here, as the Veigar is going to be the final lock in here for Cafe 3 as a response to this Azir.
I don't really like the Veigar pick in this instance, just because of the fact that if you look at what MGE had drafted for their first 4 picks, as they tie everything together with a Zyra, which is very, very exciting in that bottom lane. But if you look at those first 4 picks, there's a lot of range with the MF and the Azir and the Veigar. It helps counteract hard dive or one-track dive initiations, which you could say is the Jarvan, but he doesn't have to pull the trigger in a lot of these instances. And now you're kind of stuck with, the Veigar, who hopefully gets to scale faster than the Azir, but other than that, it's very hard to interact with MG Eclipse's composition as the Veigar, and even as the Aphelios and this Kennen. So initially I'm looking at this draft and I do like MG Eclipse's draft better, but now the question is, like, the only way in, or the only way for this Alawi to really be useful against that Cafe 3 composition is just kind of keeping her out on a side lane and just constantly shoving in these waves. And at the very least, there's really not a 1v1 answer provided by Cafe 3 as well.
It's one of those weird situations where we have to take a look at that Kennen pick in the top lane and ask ourselves, it's not a tank, so it's not a great matchup for the Alawi, but is it going to be the answer that is needed to deal with Alawi nonetheless? Because Kennen still isn't the best 1v1 champion, as you were saying. He likes to go for those team fight flanks. He likes to try and get that slicing Maelstrom through the entire backside of MG Eclipse, but there's a lot of questions about a couple of these champions. The Alawi, how is it going to be able to impact the map? The Veigar, how is it going to be able to deal with the Zyra? I want to take a look at that bottom lane, because we didn't get a chance to talk about that Zyra support just quite yet, and it's something that you have to ask a lot of questions about. Zyra and Misfortune, classically, the Misfortune was used as a counter to Zyra, but that's a whole lot of damage in the bottom lane here for MG Eclipse. And what I need to know is whether or not MG Eclipse is going to be able to apply the amount of pressure that they need to on this bottom half of the map in order to warrant this pick in Zyra, because it's not the most meta pick. It's something that you definitely play when you're looking for cheese. You're looking to catch your opponent off guard and blow them up before they have an opportunity to respond.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big thing with the Zyra Thresh interaction is, well, if Thresh handshakes the lane, he's going to lose. So he has to actively look for a play down in this bottom lane. We could see early intervention coming in from Xin Zhao, of course, has great gank pathways, especially when both champions in that bottom lane are very fragile, like a Zyra MF. Definitely a lot of kill threat. However, if they're able to keep or stay safe to a degree, they can really push the issue as the MF Zyra combination because they're going to output a lot more damage, and the range difference is that much bigger down that bottom lane comparatively to that Thresh of Philios.
And as we're hopping into game one here, I want to make sure we remember that the Jarvan is no slouch in the early game aggression either. So expecting a lot of the focus for both of these teams here to be on this bottom side of the map in order to try and either shut down this early laning phase MF Zyra lane for the side of MG Eclipse, or getting them ahead if you are the side of MG Eclipse as well. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the rift for the first game here between Cafe3 and MG Eclipse. Semifinals here for UML, and it's going to be an exciting best of 5 here today. I want to know where are these junglers going to be going to start off this game so far. We do have a classic 5-point to begin the game, but where are they going to be looking to prioritize a lot of their pressure?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this Zyra in action. I played a lot of Zyra in the previous season. I had a lot of fun with this champion. Of course, with the item changes, you know, Leandri's still fantastic mythic item on her. I would assume that's going to be the case here as well. And Desire really ties the composition together as well, because look at how much dive is coming in from the side of Cafe3. They've got the Xin, they've got the Kennen. Now going for a level 1. This is a big play here.
Oh, no, you can't miss that play. Kilroy, that's not what we're looking for here.
Two
The Trojans
1v1s.
have to back away here. That's going to be another bouncing bullet there coming in from Slingy Bird. That feels so bad if you were the bottom lane of Cafe 3.
Oh, that was a missed kill opportunity right there. Also has to invest the flash, so Kilroy in a very poor spot at the moment, but thankfully, at least AD carry wise, you're of course going to have that extra little bit of sustain factor coming in from the Philios, who has the Severum, and when you have this many pots, it helps shore that up as well. But nice root means this level 2 is going to be fairly ineffective because remember, no flash on the Thresh.
I like to see the aggressive posturing coming in from the bottom lane nonetheless. They do want to try and, as you said, they cannot handshake this lane. They cannot let all of the power go over to the side of MGE, but with no flash on Thresh, it does provide a good gank opportunity here for Handholder. A ward placed down on the river bush will catch him out for now. What does it mean for the rest of his rotation, though? The blue buff has not been picked up just quite yet. After Hubbard did start on the top side as well, so being fully aware of the aggression that was being planned out from the bottom lane here does mean that both junglers looking to play around this Misfortune and Aphelios lane, trying to prevent anybody from going down early. As rest of these lanes are just going to be farming it up fairly standard so far here. I do want to note that already Kennen does have quite a bit of a CS lead as he's crashing away into the turret. It's not going to mean much once these minions have been picked up, but we could see why this Kennen pick was being taken on the top half of the map as the counter pick into this Alawi.
Right, but it's not a substantial enough difference here, and the big thing is Alawi's still able to soak up all this experience, and able to find those smaller trades is still going to be good for her because she's going to have that small sustain advantage. And of course, in this mid lane, the Veigar's still, not doing too shabby. This is, of course, a lane that he is going to get outranged against. And I was actually expecting more of something like a Xerath to come out here in this mid lane to try and answer back. But we do get the Veigar who, come mid game, he's going to be a very integral part of being able to keep this backline safe. That's going to allow this Thresh to walk up and try to look for plays. But it's hard to see how he fits in later on, but game happening.
Shenxiao is showing on the bottom side of the map here. Jarvan trying to hover around mid lane in response. Nobody really quite prepared to make a full engage, though. I think that was a good opportunity for After Hubbard to try and go in, but just not quite feeling the angle that he had for himself. A fairly slow early game, considering both of these junglers like to get on the map early and have already gone through their first rotation of camp. Second rotation is starting to hit onto the map, and now we see these two junglers on opposite sides of the rift from each other. So we're going to start seeing action, start seeing some of these offset plays. We can expect it in maybe the next couple of minutes here, as the first resets for some of these solo laners are also starting to come out here.
Yeah, and actually desynced backs coming out here for both of these bot lanes. MGE opting or choosing to desync their bags, but for the side of Cafe3, they get theirs disrupted by the Zyra being able to land that CC. And I mean, all things considered, not a ton happening in this early game besides a lot of threatening, a lot of words being tossed around, kind of, you know, just saying, hey, I'm gonna beat you up, but not any of it coming to fruition quite yet.
I'll fight you, but like respectfully, you know, not an actual threat, just making sure you know that I'm not afraid to throw hands if I need to from either side of these teams here. First dragon on the map is going to be this Ocean Drake. So neither one of these teams putting much pressure towards that bottom side, at least not towards that objective just quite yet. It's interesting to see kind of where the current meta has devolved to in terms of, hold on a second, that's going to be some great CC lining onto Mind Warrior. Has to flash away from the hook towards safety here, so Zyra will be vulnerable for the next 5 minutes or so. Lantern has to be thrown down as the Jarvan makes his way towards the bottom half of the map. Another Graviton proc will stop Stingy Bird from continuing forward, as both junglers want to skirmish in the river over this bottom side Scuttle Crab, but it is going to be the priority in the mid lane from Cafe3 that will secure it for after Hubbard.
Predator popped, but they don't find the engage, and this is one of the issues, right? If they can't find the engage, it's very frustrating for Cafe3 to stick onto members of MGE. Now, I mean, it's going to come down to a question of who's going to be the ones to pull the trigger on that dragon. That first dragon is going to be a big question mark here. Oh, it is Ocean, so it's not like too flashy to go ahead and take here, but any extra sustain is going to be beneficial for a lot of these champs that are just looking to lane as long as possible.
The Philios, the Veigar, they all really want to be staying in these lanes for as long as they can. I'm more curious to see what does it mean in terms of, oh my goodness, that's going to be a great death sentence. So there's no flash available here, but it is the first one. Let's give it over to MGE. Eclipse first, as Stringy Bird with a huge burst of damage is able to take down Kilroy, but not without the Chosen answering with the kill back onto Mind Warrior. Some more fighting going on here. God. Chosen, have you taken a fight too far? The level 6 hit, that's going to be one more great sniper there coming in by the Chosen in order to finish off the kill. 2-0 for the Aphelios.
That great little pick there, being able to secure the damage, but now we do have Hold Hander up in that top side, ready to get a dive set up, but Kilroy reads the play perfectly, and now it's going to be a reverse gank.
Ooh, Predator, I think, popped again here from Is That Them. No hook, no Q, no stun. That might be the turnaround. You cannot mess around with a level 6 Alawi that has
reverse
access to
3v3 now.
That's going to be the Cataclysm. Heppo also teleporting into the top lane or try and turn this one around, but the disengage from Cafe3 will secure them not only their own lives, but the first dragon of the game as well.
Able to capitalize on that play coming in from MGE, trying to respond to that topside play. Cafe3, they read it well, and at the same time, they're really just able to get everything that they want, as they are also able to secure the first dragon of the game. It's gonna help out this top side considerably, especially this mid lane as well. And I mean, like, the bottom lane also really loving the extra little bit of sustain, but the big thing here is, like, gank happening. This is the big thing.
Flash forward. Mind Warrior still
the turn
available. Stingy Bird again with the turnaround. This time the bullet time is able to pick that one up alongside the Stranglethorns from Mind Warrior. Once again, Kilroy goes down, but not without trading Mind Warrior's life. This entire time, Rift Herald was being taken on the top side of the map, so it's going to be objective for objective so far across the board here. Panda X might know that something is going on inside of his jungle, but instead it's just looking for some wards around the top side of the map, as we see Hold Hander is going to be in deep within enemy territory, stealing away those top side camps. And it just feels like so far MG Eclipse, they've been able to respond to so much of the pressure that Cafe3 has been trying to put down early.
Yeah, doing well so far for themselves. So going to get a little bit of extra harass there, but now dive possibility coming up in that top side. Unfortunately, minions aren't in a good spot. They weren't able to cut off the wave, but now they are able to throw down the Rift Herald, and they do have 3 members top.
Slicing Maelstrom is available for Panda, but they don't even want to start this fight until the turret goes down. Panda realizes this now that Lowy Ultimate's coming down extremely late. The turret goes down. Rift Herald still available, not before Veigar shows up and gets 1 in return. Panda will fall down. The Azir turret spawned in order to make sure that the fight doesn't continue here for Is That Them. It's another 1-for-1 this time. Cafe3 the one's able to respond.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they just weren't able to do enough damage to be able to take down the turret fast enough, and as a result, the answer came from Cafe3. They were able to get 1 more member over there to help out Panda, and they end up trading somewhat evenly in that situation. Still, they lose first tower, they lose 3 plates up in that top side, so at the very least, MG Eclipse, they kind of get what they came up there to get, right? They wanted those extra tower plates, get first tower gold into the Lowy, and that's exactly what they were able to do. It was a little bit messy, but whatever gets the job done.
And this is where we gotta start answering some of these questions about, is the Kennen pick going to be good into the Lowy here? We did say early on that this Kennen has to get rolling early if we want to see it work as an effective counter towards Jinjin's Alawi on the top side of the map, and so far we have yet to see that. Down about 13 CS here, has lost 5 platings and the whole turret to the top side to no turrets of his own. Panda here is sitting on just a couple of amplifying tomes and those sorcerer boots, whereas you have the completed divine sunderer already coming in from Jinjin. So it is looking a bit worse for Ray here for the Kennen on the top side of the map, and we gotta ask, you know, is this something that Cafe3 needs to be worried about? We do have an engage coming in onto Is That Them, forcing the flash away from Hold Hander there with that baby cage, but it will mean the rotation over from Heppo and nothing much else gained from that invade.
Yeah, unable to actually get the turn or get the pick from either side in that situation means that things back to a standstill, but Jinjin, he is trapped in the cage.
Oh no, that's the power of the baby cage though. Maybe that's why they picked the Veigar in this match. You have a lot of dashes, but no real blinks here, so once that mobility isn't available, especially for this Alawi, who has no gap closers of their own besides the small jump with the W. As you can see, the Chosen taking a fight on the bomb sign, has to flash away from the roots there in order to make sure
Possible
he
turn though.
doesn't get held up into that bullet time. As you said, possible turn. Death sentence going to go wide here for Kilroy. Turnaround might be coming in from Mind Warrior, but with just a few plants spawned on the map. Dragon coming up in 15 seconds here. Cafe3, they want to try and start the Dragon second early. They already have 1. They're setting themselves up for this spawning Mountain Dragon.
Yeah, and they also have Hubbard in the area as well. So a little bit more forward presence coming in from Cafe3. And they already have their top laner making his way over. So both of these top laners holding on to their teleports, even though Jinjin does still have his available to use. So he could have been in the sideline, but wanting to be here early, make sure to get those tentacles spawned. They're able to secure the dragon, and they're able to start walking out. It doesn't look like they're going to get punished. Oh, possible pick!
Ooh, that's a great cage from over the wall coming in from Is That Them in order to start off this fight. Stringy Bird goes down immediately. Chosen able to pick that one up after Hubbard.
They might be too far.
But that's going to be the re-engage. That's going to be the Shurima shuffles after Hubbard goes down. Mind Warrior goes able to pick that one up, and the Cataclysm secures a second as the Chosen goes down here. Great turnaround coming in from the side of MG Eclipse.
And you see kind of a mismatch of the themes in this composition. You see the Kennen, you see the Xin going very far forward, trying to make the dive play happen, but there's just not fast enough follow-up coming in from a Veigar, from a Aphelios, and you just saw when you leave your backline exposed like that, the turn is swift and it comes very, very rapidly. MG Eclipse striking back in a very dominant fashion in that fight, and now Heppo about to die. The auto is not enough.
No! Is that them? The flash forward for the auto is barely not going to be enough, and instead the lantern will get him out to safety here. Meanwhile, bottom side of the map, Jinjin on that split push duty is going to be able to pick up a second turret here for MG Eclipse. Such a close 1v1 in the middle lane. Heppo barely able to survive.
And that's going to be the power of the Veigar, I suppose, in this situation, is that if he's able to scale up, get a lot of the stacks on his Q or from his passive, he's going to be able to one-shot a whole lot of these members on the side of MGE. While they do have a lot of range, they are all fairly fragile targets. But, you know, all things considered, it's still a rough time if they can't get this Veigar in range. So he's going to have to really utilize those Predator timings, like so.
Ooh, another great baby cage will secure the killing spree here for Is That Them. So far, it feels like just the threat of the Event Horizon has been doing more work here for Cafe3. You don't necessarily need to land this stun on top of somebody, where a lot of Veigar players do believe that that is the pinnacle of all Veigar play. But if you could just get them inside of the cage when they don't have their flash available, when they don't have enough mobility in order to get themselves to safety, it still does provide a certain level of zone control here for Cafe3, where they allow the Aphiles, they allow the Jin and Kennen to really follow up and try and land their own damage into the center of that stun ring here. Take a look. Rift Herald has spawned onto the map the second time around here. Will be started up immediately by the side of Cafe3, so want to try and answer some of this turret pressure that has been applied by MG Eclipse so far in this early game. It is 2 turrets to 0, which has resulted in about a 1,500, now closer to 1,000 gold lead in the favor of MG Eclipse.
Yeah, MG Eclipse still holding on to a gold lead, mostly in part of the turret differential. But the big key thing here is going to be, what is Jinjin's next item? If he goes for something like a Hull Breaker, this is going to be an incredibly oppressive side lane champion. And because they were able to get the second dragon, they don't need to invest a whole lot of time and resources into the next 2 dragons. Gives them a lot of extra space, a lot of extra room to scale with this Alawi pick in particular. And now it just kind of comes down to a bit of a 1-3-1 actually coming in from both sides. So Cafe3 are willing to handshake this situation. They see that, hey, Veigar, he's still able to continue stacking up, and if we need to rotate him, he has the Predator available to get here much faster than something like an Azir, who doesn't have that extra move speed.
And we do got to keep in mind that Cafe3, this is the play style that they really like to play towards. They play for these later stage team fights. Hold on a second, that's going to be the engage coming after. Hubbard has to use the ultimate in order to keep himself safe. Bullet time all but canceled out here by the side of Cafe3 with a great disengage. Heppo wants to try and find an entrance from the side, but the Event Horizon will prevent him from going any further here as MG Eclipse blowing a couple of summoner spells and ultimates in the middle lane, but to little to no regard. Event Horizon stunning up Jinjin, just a little bit of damage traded back. So much tension around this mid lane. Both of these teams 5 stacking in order to try and keep those mid lane outers alive.
Yeah, but now it's the side of Cafe3 that are kind of funneled into this mid lane, unable to really get access into their own jungle and in towards this next dragon. It is Cloud Dragon up on the table. Mind Warrior dumping a lot of damage.
Ooh, Kilroy almost going down there. Jinjin is behind enemy lines. He has to drop the ultimate and try and get as much damage out in return as possible.
He gets
but
one?
is it going to be enough to survive? He does get one, but he goes down to the Chosen. 1 for 1 at the end of the day. Not bad for MG Eclipse here, as they're also able to secure themselves the first win Drake of this game. 19 minutes into this one here, Night Star, and it is already an extremely close game 1. Less than 1,500 gold between these two teams, and I think of all the games we've gassed together, this one is by far the closest, and we can really see why these two teams have gone undefeated so far throughout the majority of their run of the UML.
Yeah, and really able to play around their particular win conditions in this situation. For the side of Cafe3, this is one of the struggles. Not only are they at a range disadvantage, they don't have really a clear champion that can just go ahead face check into these bushes. So if they ever lose vision control, the Zin's not quite tanky enough to be able to do the things he needs to do for his squad because of how much damage is on the side of MGE. The case also, goes the other way as well. If, MGE are forced to face check, they could just face check into a Vigar, and depending on how strong his Vigar is, be able to one-shot you very easily, but having the fight break out once more.
Jungler's going for enemy supports, but it's going to be MG Eclipse that's winning so far. Panax coming in with that slicing maelstrom. That's going to be the full time in response.
One for
though
one.
It will mean that has to back away after trading the life of Jin here.
He's here now.
Best to play front line, trying to do as much time as possible. But the Azir shuffle, it finds two. It is cutting off the escape for all the backline members of Cafe3, and it is going to be a turnaround as MG Eclipse at 20.5 minutes find a commanding team fight. This is going to mean that they're looking to start up the Baron so early in this game. It is so unfortunate for the side of Cafe3 where that fight happens.
Mind Warrior trying to decide whether or not he's able to get damage in, but no, it's not good enough, and now they're actually going to be forced to bring in the teleport. They could just all be dead here, though.
Is that them? The lone man standing here for
Stringer
Cafe3. He's trying to get in there. He wants to do damage to somebody, to anybody. He's doing his best. Is that them? He finds the first. The re-engage is going to find the second. After Havard is here, he has to smite the jungler for Cafe3. Has respawned and stolen the Baron, ladies and gentlemen. It was looking so good, but it was an overstay for him. MG Eclipse, and now Jin, you teleported in, but you have no flash still. He goes down as 3 members of Cafe3 have spawned have joined around this Baron pit. I think all 5 are going to have the Baron as well. It is an absolute disaster here for MG.
Man, disaster is an understatement, Chris. Oh my lord, they forgot how short those death timers were. They won the fight, but it was the narrowest of margins. So when they went back and started out the Baron, they didn't have the health bars to tank it up all the way, and they also forgot, well, if death timers are that low, it also means they respawn fast enough to just sprint straight back to the pit and challenge you. And therefore, they gave up a whole lot of ground in this game because they were ahead, and after that fight, they should have been really getting far and away in the lead, but now all of a sudden they lose pretty much the entire squad over at Baron, and they lose the 1,500 gold valued Baron.
And now they have 3.5 minutes to survive the Baron push. Coming in from Cafe3
Is that them?
here. Is that them? Absolutely no respect. Walking through enemy lines here. I don't even think he landed the W there. I think that was just the power of his Q doing half the health and that Everfrost onto Mind Warrior.
Far from home.
It feels like he's just been getting bullied this entire game on this immobile Alawi pick, trying to do his best to survive up here. He's going to be able to get a lot of survivability, though. Doing so much sustain is not going to be enough, though, as 5 members of Cafe3 do show up. You know, it's the Alawi dream to get that 1v4 turnaround there, but at 2 and 5, unfortunately, Jinjin is just not strong enough yet.
Definitely not strong enough to just 1v5 himself in that situation. But very strong in the 1v1. That's something we need to keep mindful of, as Mind Warrior is taken down to, I mean, probably like 20 HP in that situation. Now we're just seeing all around the ramifications of that failed Baron call from MGE, because the map state has just swapped completely. Cafe3 able to crack 2 towers with that Baron, able to get themselves a dragon, able to now hit a lot of the scaling power from this Vigar.
Heppo also about to feel the pressure of this Baron. That's going to be the streamer shuffle in order to get them away from himself. But As long
Everyone's
as we're trying to
here,
stop
though.
out the slicing maelstrom, everybody else is coming in response. Heppel doing a great job so far. Panda dropping down extremely low. One
Oh,
more soldier
no.
attack might be able to do it. The shuffle, one more auto attack, but no, it is going to be the shuriken coming in from Panda in order to secure that kill and saving his own life. Pressure in the mid lane coming in from MG Eclipse. They want to try and make something happen on the other side of the map while that fight is happening on the top side. You can send 4 people to try and take out this Azir, but it means that your mid lane turret is vulnerable. So a great response coming in from the side of MG Eclipse. Baron also wearing off here, which means that this next fight is going to be stat checking from both teams. Engage coming in, shut down as that them goes down. A great death sentence on the hold hander there is going to be able to pull him underneath turret, but he's going to be able to flash away from that one as the pressure does not stop here if you're MG Eclipse. Pull over the wall with the tested spirits will mean that Panda X is chunked out here. This inhibitor mid lane turret is being pressured. Teleport coming in order to keep the minion wave alive here. Mid lane inhibitor turret going down. It's the re-engage. Cafe3, they want to try and stop this one here. MG Eclipse, they are trying to end the game here. Chosen is available. Panda does not have that slicing of maelstrom available as Mind Warrior blows up after Hubbard here. It is continuous pressure here. This inhibitor will go down for MG Eclipse. Is this where they decide to reset? It better be, because with those half bars looking at health here, they have managed to pick up 2 turrets. They have managed to get that mid lane inhibitor, but too much could result in another failed Baron looking play here as they decide to back off with some amazing cross map pressure.
And speaking of Baron, that is going to be up in 90 seconds, so it's not too far off here. And yeah, MGE, you talked about cross mapping. That's exactly what happens. Cafe3, they find brilliant collapses on these solo laners who are overextending, but at the same time, for MG Eclipse, they know, hey, our solo laners are so strong that they have to send multiple players to keep them down. And if that happens, we can just immediately attack the rest of the map, and that's exactly what they do. They take down that mid tower. They're able to then out-rotate Cafe3 even more and press the issue in that mid lane and come out with a mid-inhib. So while the mid-inhib isn't exactly a giant consequence because, well, Cafe3, they'll be able to push out mid when they try and contest this Baron buff. It's not the worst of situations. It's still just really showcasing MGE taking advantage of the situation and being able to read the situation quickly when it does devolve into a bit of a madness. Whereas Cafe3, if things are all planned and calculated, it feels like they're the ones really able to take advantage of the slower methodical play, because we saw in the early game when they know that a play is going to happen elsewhere, they were able to answer it very, very cleanly.
The cool, calm, collected versus the chaotic controlled chaos of these two teams. Another team fight breaking out around the Baron here. This time it is going to be Mind Warrior that gets blown up by after Hubbard, but it's going to be Scream the Shuffle that's able to come in response. That is going to be that the jungler for CF3 is going down here. Stingy Bird is able to pick that one up with a great bolt time. Panda has to flash away. The slicing maelstrom was not able to buy enough time. It will be jungler for jungler at the end of the day, as the support for Cafe3 is still up and available. 2 for 1 here. Cafe3, they find their pick, but at what cost here? They have to back away as the inside track on this mid lane is going back over towards the side of Eclipse. Dragon is spawning up in a minute here, and both of these teams might be looking to rotate their pressure towards this bottom side of the map, as that Dragon Soul is still highly contested. 2 dragons apiece here, Night Star. This first game of our best of 5 is so tense and so close, and we can see why both of these teams have made it all the way here to the semifinals, as we've seen so much chaos between the Baron turnaround, the team fights that have gone back and forth in so many different directions, and yet it is still just a 500 gold lead here for MGE. The team that is down in kills and lost the Baron still controlling this gold differential.
And it just comes down to the fact that they're able to get access to a little bit more farm on the map. It's just the smallest of margins, but that's enough for a gold difference right here. But Heppo possibly in trouble.
Oh no, is that them with the 100-0? He finds Heppo with the dragon spawning onto the map in 10 seconds here. That Predator, you don't even have to land the baby cage. We're talking about it before, Night Star. You just find the Everfrost, you find the follow-up damage, and it means enough for this Vigor to be able to blow you up in the late game. Team fight looking to be starting off 1-4 after Hubbard going extremely deep. The whole time once again being stalled out here, but it's just buying so much space here for MGE. Flash over the wall into the Cataclysm for the hands of
Vigor back.
He wants to try and blow up the Chosen One here. is that them is still available, and a great event horizon is going to be able to buy the space, buy the time that Cafe3 needs in order to back away here. But still, the map pressure going over towards MG Eclipse, a stringy bird in all of these team fights, finding such great positioning in order to set himself up. Every bullet time, while it may not be super effective versus After Hubbard, has been buying space and has been safely placed by the side of MG Eclipse. And now it will mean that they're able to grant themselves this inside track onto this Wind Dragon, and they will be the team putting themselves towards Soul Point.
Yeah, and Stringy Bird, his positioning on this MF has been excellent. Not only is it able to kind of just output damage and force out the Xin ultimate early on, but it's also able to keep the rest of Cafe3 from approaching, from getting into that dive position like that Kennen, and they're really playing around this Kennen Xin combination so well, really exhibiting the power of having all this range and anti-dive tools such as the Azir ult, such as the MF and Zyra ult as well. But now they're the ones kind of strangled out of vision around this Baron buff area. How do they fight their way back?
It requires finding these wards first and foremost here as Cafe3 try to set up around this Baron. They will be able to have the scuttle for themselves at the very least, but already we can see just how much respect they have to put on the name of MG Eclipse here. As soon as Hold Hander and Mind Warrior walk up into this river, the immediate back away here. Keep in mind, a lot of the lead here for the side of Cafe3, a lot of their gold is in the pockets of this Veigar and Ophelia, so they do not have their carries available here alongside After Hubbard and Kilroy. It means that they do not have the potential to win one of these fights. The Chosen and Stringy Bird taking it out 1v1 in the middle lane. It will be a great turnaround coming in by the Chosen. A Lantern to safety will mean that Jinjin
he's too far.
Not going to be able to jump onto the Chosen, but it is going to be an engage coming in by Hold Hander. You're right, he's too far though. The Cataclysm not going to be very effective at holding down the 80 carries. He's been chunked out extremely low to the 3-man stack they had found in the jungle just previously. We'll mean a back away here from MG Eclipse, and once again, Cafe3 are just buying themselves time. They're buying themselves the ability to stay on this map just that much longer. As we take a look at the items, slowly but surely, 3 items completed here for these 2 late game scaling carries of Cafe3, and they're working on this 4th. We're starting to reach the late game here in Nightstar, and at some point, this Aphelios Veigar are going to be a little too big, I think, for MG Eclipse to be able to handle.
Yeah, the margins get that much tighter as the Aphelios and the Veigar continue to scale up here. And for MG Eclipse, yes, the range advantage is still very frustrating for these 2 carries to play against from the side of Cafe3, but again, when you start getting that many items, you can just kind of one-tap any of those squishy targets. It doesn't matter. The reactions sometimes just aren't fast enough to then react to a Veigar or an Ophelia showing up on your screen and instantly blasting you in the face. So it's starting to mount really, in the amount of tension here is just really crazy. Icarus is...
We still got a potential 4 more games to go too, Nightstar. Like, this is just game 1. We got to keep that in mind as well here. Again, we see both of these teams gathering around this Baron. We can see how strong this Veigar is. 10 stack Mejais completed before this upcoming Baron fight, as I think this is where the tension is going to reach its head here, Nightstar. 4 members of Cafe3 have gathered around this top side of the map. Both top laners on the bottom side of the map. Teleports available. The stun cage comes out. Is that them trying to pull up Hold Hander? Oh my goodness, that is so much damage. I feel his ultimate coming out as well, but is barely not going to be enough. The Jarvan will hold on for his dear life here. Kilroy trying to find Hebo, trying to get the wards down, trying to keep MGE away from this Baron pit as the Baron has been started up, dropping down to 6,000 health. Full time coming out, doing so much damage to the backline. A great death sentence will cancel that one. Hold hander. He's still here. The support goes down, but is there an entrance into the pit? The smite not available just quite yet. It will be secured here from after Hubbard. Now it's going to be Panda going into the backline. That's going to be the great slicing maelstrom. It will find
The
three
carries aren't
members
there,
of
though.
MGE. The recontinue here, though. The Felius nowhere to be found. The Vigar nowhere to be seen as Holdhander coming back in with the Cataclysm will get the turnaround on the fight as 3 members of Cafe3 goes down. Now you still have the Baron available here for Is That Thumb and Chosen, but will it be enough? With 30 seconds left, 40 seconds left on 2 members of Cafe3, this might be the end timer looking here for Eclipse.
I don't think it's going to be the end timer, Icarus, but they're going to look to grab this inhib and most likely move their way over to this dragon, which there is going to be a slight desync when it comes to the timers. This top jungle duo isn't going to be able to respawn in time until that objective goes down. So now it's really up to MGE. How do they want to play this? Do they want to continue to try and fish for a pick, or are they going to be able to burst this objective down? But Jinjin, he is in trouble.
Jinjin, you can't be up that far without your team. He goes down, blown up to the hands of Is That Thumb. But there's still the smite advantage here for MGE. DeChosen and Kilroy, they want to keep this one going. They want to try and find Mind Warrior, but are they going to get in rage in time? The speed up from the Severn will be able to find the Gravitum stun here. DeChosen still going forward. That Sonya's, I don't think necessary. It might mean the death for Mind Warrior here, but the flash away will buy even more time. There's so many people on the hunt for the Zyra here. Nothing is quite
There's so many
connecting, though,
people.
as Mind Warrior continue to go forward. One last Shuriken of the Lightning Gerbil will be able to finish off the kill onto the Plant Lady. Bottom side of the map, Is That Them split pushing to victory here as he is the only man left standing to try and pressure this bottom half of the map. It is such a close game here, Nightstar, as Winstall was secured by the end of the day by MGE.
Well, all that happened, they were able to secure it, but they are at a member deficit. Yes, it's only 20 seconds for the support, but the support's actually playing a huge impact in being able to keep this backline safe and sound. But they found a pick on the Filios.
That's going to be the Lantern of safety. Filius is out. What is it going to mean in return here? What else is Cafe3 going to be able to look for? Nothing just quite yet. So the Zero turret goes up. Heppo, he's looking to go forward. Kilroy dropping
so
down
close.
extremely low.
He's dead.
No, that's going to be a great event horizon by Is That Them. He finds a pick on the Heppo. Not going to mean anything else though. Here's Cafe3. They're just trying to get out here.
Jinjin, he's on the hunt. He's trying to find any stragglers, and it might look like he found Hubbard, but unfortunately for Hubbard, he will be able to get out, but Jinjin is still on the hunt.
Jinjin, he wants to find anything. He wants to make this Alawi pick work so badly after Hubbard. We'll be able to back away those Holdhander and Stringy Bird come up to follow up on this damage. Baron buff should be expiring shortly here in about a minute or less. I do believe it's going to be back to a normal state of being. Yes, the Baron buff actually does expire just now, and it's going to be back to both teams with no Baron on the map anymore. It will mean that that Wind Soul will be available only for the side of MG Eclipse, but they don't exactly have the most mobile champions when they use their ultimates. Yes, the Alawi is going to like it. Yes, the Jarvan will lock it, but I'm not so sure about this MF. Having access to the ultimates are going to be so important. As death timers are more important than anything else. As Mind Warrior once again getting blown up by Is That Them. The Zyra not catching a breath in this game.
At this point in the game, the Zyra pick is really, really hard to play out here because of the fact that, well, if you ever face check into dead vision where it's dark, there's always the possibility of you just instantly getting bopped. That's happened a number of times already, and that means those dark areas, they're just gonna stay dark. So you've really just lost your life over a whole lot of nothing. As the side of MGE, like, yes, Jinjin, he's on 4 items, but Stringy Bird, he might be dead. He is dead.
Oh no, Stringy Bird, you got nowhere to go here. Immediately goes down to the hands of Is That Them. And after Hubbard here is, it feels like, as you were saying before night started, the tempo of this game flipped on its head here, and I think that late game scaling here for the side of Cafe3 is really coming into full effect here. What was once a pick composition by the side of MG Eclipse is now being executed solely by the hands of Is That Them. It is going to be another attempt here by Hubbard trying to get onto Mind Warrior one more time, but he's going to be able to walk away with the use of those Stranglethorns. Trading ultimate for ultimate here. Support for jungler, which means that bullet time is going to be much more effective versus the Jin and versus the Xin Zhao in the upcoming fight here. Top side of the map being pressured extremely hard here. Mid lane inhibitor is open if Cafe3 wanted to rotate over, but instead Jinjin is going to be able to test the spirit of Is That Them, pulls out a lot of damage onto the Veigar. Will signal the retreat here for the side of Cafe3 as they want to get set up for this Baron spawning in just 45 seconds.
Yeah, and the big thing here is when it comes to these ult exchanges, it's actually beneficial for the side of MGE because remember, they do have 3 Cloud Dragons to their name. So that's an extra, a whole lot of extra ult CDR coming through. That's why you see Mind where his ult's already back up and he has 1 point less in his ultimate than Xin. But Xin, even though he has 3 points in his ult, because of that extra ult CDR that he's not having, unable to get it. But a pick!
Oh, it's a huge
Can they get more?
The GA activated. Is That Them is able to trade back one though. He's going to be able to take out the Azir.
Look at the cannon!
Comes back onto the cannon. He goes down. He gets 2 in the back line as Panda is able to find a massive slicing maelstrom. Triple kill being executed here by the top laner of Cafe3 as Panda moving forward. 4 members of MG Eclipse have gone down as the GA paying dividends here for the side of Cafe3. They're going to be going 4-man strong up through the middle lane here. Inhibitor, the only thing standing between them and these Nexus turrets with a massive wave to toe here, though. Game 1 is going to be secured here by Cafe3. Jinjin, you were the last man standing. No ultimate available means no sustain as the death sentence lands. The first Nexus turret goes down. The second Nexus turret in follow. And Game 1 picked up here in the late game here by Cafe3.
A 40-minute heater, Icarus. And the
Best
side
of
of
5.
Cafe3, you know, they keep the cafe hot and piping right there. It was really close. Even at the very end, you thought the pick was there, but fortunately, the stopwatch able to buy it. It was either the stopwatch or the GA able to buy extra time. And because they overinvested for that pick, it did leave their backline exposed, which meant that the Ken was finally able to get really big value. Pretty much the entire game, he was down and out. He had 0 impact. The best he got was hitting 2 frontline champions in the Alawi, in the Jarvan time and time again. So it was just such low impact coming in from the Kennen. But at the last fight, the most important fight, able to find value and secure the win for his team.
Well, if this series is going to go anything like Game 1 here, ladies and gentlemen, I suggest you all hit up a cafe as well, because I'm going to need some coffee and some caffeine in me, because we have a banger best of 5 ahead of us. Game 1 going over to Cafe3, but we'll be back in just a couple of minutes here with Game 2 between MG Eclipse and Cafe3. Do not go anywhere. This is UML Semifinals, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're getting set up and ready for game two here between Cafe3 and MG Eclipse for the UML semifinals. We are going to have the first game being taken by Cafe3 in a 40-minute barn burner here, going to the late game in our first game here. So, it's going to be a long night of League of Legends when we got a best of 5 ahead of us for the rest of the night, Star.
This is exactly kind of what we were hoping for. Just looking at these two teams, right? We have the 1 seed versus the 2 seed, but collectively between the two of them, there just hasn't been a whole lot of losses, even game wise, coming in from them. So, coming in game one, we saw a very more of an up tempo composition coming in from the side of MG Eclipse, whereas a very slow composition on the other side, even though there are a couple of mismatching components. And well, it both of these compositions had things that he just didn't like, and I hope it does get addressed in this draft next game, because when you look at that cannon, yes, in the last fight it looked pretty damn good, but it was pretty
Before
bad.
that,
39 minutes of mediocrity, let's be real here. So I'd like to see a little bit of a change there. And for the side of MGE, it felt like they really wanted this Alawi pick to team fight a lot more than I felt like it needed to, because it was able to get lane lead. And then it should have just really steamrolled in the 1v1 throughout the entire time. I didn't like the fact that he went for the Dead Man's Plate as a third item, because the stats you're getting isn't great, especially in the 1v1 matchup. You're up against two magic damage solo laners. Either go Hull Breaker or go for a magic resistance item. He went for Dead Man's, and that's a dead item.
I feel like you have to go either Hullbreaker or Spirit Visage there, which are kind of your classic third item pickups here for a split pusher that wants to do a lot of sustained damage if you're playing this Alawi. But for me personally, if I'm looking at the MG Eclipse thing, I'm also looking at that Zyra pick. It worked pretty decently in the early stages for them. They were able to get a lot of turnaround plays based off of the early aggression that Cafe3 was throwing towards that bottom side of the map. And we saw time and time again that Stringy Bird was able to get turnaround kills using the Stranglethorns and the bullet time, or the double up even coming into effect there in order to pick off that first blood. But when it comes to those later stages of the game, it didn't show nearly as strongly, and we saw kind of the weaknesses of these mages in the bottom lane when it comes to mid to late game team fighting. You don't have the tankiness to play that frontline ward clearing, ward placing, supportive style that you need to be playing from the bottom side of the map here. So I'm hoping to see a little bit of changes in the draft for both of these teams, and that's kind of the beauty of these best of fives that we get Night Star, is that we can see the adaptations of both of these teams in pick and draft as we are heading into game two's pick and draft currently. So we'll get to start seeing some of these live changes that these teams are going to be bringing in. Cafe3 up one in the series. They don't have to do a whole lot here as they're looking to ban away that Graves once again.
And I mean, the only big question here is, how does Cafe3 deal with this Alawi pick? Do they go back towards the Kennen? Because again, while the Kennen just felt really mediocre when it came to the actual game, maybe they're fine with being able to keep this Alawi down through most of that lane phase, or at least keep things in very clear lines drawn where, okay, if MG Eclipse want to make a lot of plays to try and facilitate this Alawi, we can just continue to attack bottom lane and continue to dive bottom lane and set up a draft where they can facilitate that sort of gameplay in that regard. Or if they just go, you know what, top lane, let's try and just make it a resident sleeper, and we'll just go all hands on deck for this bottom lane, ban away the Alawi, and just make sure both teams know, hey, this is where the fight's going to happen. It's not top lane, it's all in this bottom lane.
And I think Cafe3 has a really solid team fight. As a team, you can see the cohesion, you can see their planning, and I think a great example of that is just the Thresh Lanterns that we saw all game, keeping people safe. The Chosen got trapped in multiple cataclysms, but the Dark Passage was always there and available, and especially in that last team fight with Panda coming with that flank, showing that they had the the communication to be able to follow up on what was originally an aggressive play coming in by the side of MG Eclipse here. You do like to see that kind of coordination coming in from one of these finalists, potential finalists in the UML series, as we are going to be getting the same bans for the most part here. LeBlanc being answered by Cafe3, Malzahar Camille taken off the board once again by the side of MG Eclipse, and so far not a whole lot of changes. I think it's again just going to be one of those states where Cafe3, MG Eclipse, they share a lot of champion pools, but it's really the picks that come into play here when we want to determine who to be looking for what play styles. And finally get the first switch up here in that Alawi taken off the board.
Alawi taken off the board at last, deciding, hey, we don't want to deal with that. Hubbard also has Kazakhs banned away 2 games in a row, it looks like, as he's thrown, he's pretty strong on that champion. He also likes to sprinkle in a little bit of Rek'Sai with the when it comes to early game aggression here, so maybe if they want to throw that kind of flair into it, keep things up tempo, but it probably isn't going to fit in the grand scheme of this series, being much more sit back, wait to scale here, and provide more utility. Zin's a great pick to do so. You have early game, but you have such great utility when it comes to mid-late game with that ultimate, being able to create space for your backline carries if you need to, or create disruption by diving into the backline and scattering their backline.
I do like to see the focus being put more towards the jungle. I guess more traditional meta team building strategies, I would think, here for the side of Cafe3. We'll pick right off the bat here. An early Jhin pick coming off the bat here for the side of MG Eclipse. That is an interesting pickup if you had to ask me. Providing some early game utility for the bottom lane of MG Eclipse. We do know that they like to play more towards the early stages of this game. The Eminent worked so well in the last game, but hopefully the Jhin will provide a lot more of that CC, that downtown ability in order to set up plays for the like this Echo. Locked in for Heppo here, so really switching up the formula for game 2.
I would love to Straven get locked in here for the side of Cafe3, but doesn't look like they want to go ahead and lock that in. And instead, they're going to move towards a Vayne. I actually think this is Jhin favor, although Vayne, of course, whenever you leave one of these utility AD carries by themselves in the side lane, the Vayne will just eat them up. But I like the fact that Jhin did get locked in. It was banned away in the first game, but what it does bring to the table is it brings a lot of long-range follow-up for the rest of your team. And now Cafe3, they lock in this early Malphite to... This is also a call out, right? In game number 1, MGE, they locked in the early Alawi saying, hey, you don't have a carry to match. But now that the carries have been taken off the board, Cafe3 just go, hey, you don't have an actual carry beyond your Alawi that we can go ahead, draft this Malphite and not get punished. So now it's up to MGE. Do they have a counter pick for this champion? And they lock in the Sylas. There's a lot of possibilities. You could throw Sylas up in the top lane because Sylas can bully out a Malphite, also uses the Malphite ultimate better than Malphite, at least in Summoner's Rift. Maybe not so in ARAM where Malphite is building AP, but in a situation where you expect the Malphite to build tank, well, Sylas is going to do much more damage with his version of Malphite.
Yeah, I am super curious to see how these matchups are going to go as well, because there is a possibility that the Echo goes top lane or into the jungle as well here. So a little bit of flexibility for the side of MGE. They are going to be banning out the Lulu and the Kassadin this time around here in phase 2 of the pick bans rotation here. Zyra also being taken off the board by Cafe3, so not one to deal with that support once again, as the Yuumi will be the final ban here. Keep in mind, both supports still need to be locked in here, and MGE has the opportunity to set themselves up with some great flexibility. However, with that Aatrox lock in, once again, they're going to be revealing their hands. So it will be the Sylas in the mid lane, I do think, and the Echo in the jungle, as that Aatrox will be the ultimate counter pick towards that Malphite.
they've gone for the Aatrox, and we see an interesting lock-in from the side of Cafe3 and the fact they've locked in a Pike. Pike doesn't really offer Vayne a whole lot in lane phase, as he's really looking to go out of lane, right? But what it does do is against some of these enchanter or mage bot lane supports, you can put a lot of kill pressure onto them with this Pike pick. But at the same time, you're mostly looking to roam outside of lane in MGE. They also read that and say, hey, we'll go ahead, pick a Rakan, also a champion that can roam but also can play lane. A lot of flexibility with this support pick. And I do like the draft adaptations coming in from both of these teams, but I mean, for the side of MGE, they have a very all-in composition, right? Because this is a stark difference from game one, where they had 3 range champions. They had a lot to play around. They were kind of built to play a little bit slower before going for that kill. But this time around, they're very much all in.
And if there's anything that Cafe3 has indexed to here, it's only more towards the late game than they were in game one. You have the Vayne, your classic super late game hyper carry ADC. You have the Victor, who needs to scale and get items, get access to those hex cores as well. And the Malphite, one of those traditional tanks that, you know, the more armor he gets, the more powerful he's going to be in that game. He will have to face up against the Sylas and the Echo, so some decent AP damage going to be facing his way, especially when looking towards stealing that unstoppable force. But when it comes to a specific lane matchup into the Aatrox, he just has to survive through. And my issue here, looking at the side of MGE, is how is this Jhin going to have impact in this game versus the long range of this Victor, the 1v1 out dueling potential of the Vayne if he's ever caught in the side lane alone, and more importantly, the Malphite and Jhin Zhao, they're going to be in his face constantly. Jhin does not do good into tanks, and I think that Stringy Bird is going to have a really hard time dealing with these frontline members that have been drafted by Cafe3.
It's going to be a bit of a rough time for this Jhin for sure. However, one of the big things for Jhin is, yes, he's not great at 25 minutes, but if this game does go to 40 minutes, he pretty much one-shots tanks with like 2 autos. It really is probably one of the most stark differences when it comes to AD carries. At 1 item, he's like pretty whatever. At 2 items, if you go for the LDR, it's not half bad, but you get your full set of items and you're just clapping fools left and right. You're just counting 4 nonstop. And I mean, I think in some ways, this composition shouldn't get to 40 minutes from the side of MGE. But if it does get to that point, look for this Jhin to really, really start to slap some fools into the ground.
You're hoping that with an all-in composition like MGE has drafted for themselves here in game 2, that they're going to be able to end the game a little bit faster than 40 minutes here, Nightstar. But it is going to be up to the side of MGE to let us know whether or not they plan on winning this one in controlling fashion or not, as we are hitting up the Rift for game 2 here, ladies and gentlemen. Cafe3 staying on the blue side, MG Eclipse staying on that red side here. So we already see a bit of a 5-stack being started off here by the side of the Eclipse.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Possibly looking to counter in invade, but also possibly looking to create an invade path themselves. Heppo coming in from an alternative angle.
Ooh, so close to getting the abduct there on that abstain abduct. Unfortunately, the chains will not land. Kilroy gets to walk away with his life here. No wards placed down. The team just will be able to get one actually in that red buff pit. Going back in order to get that early sweeper here. I do want to see where both of these junglers are going to be starting off. It looks like Hold Hander will be seen on that top side of the map as he's rotating towards that red buff. And it will be answered as After Hubbard will be also starting on the top side of the map. So once again, a lot of bottom lane focus from both of these junglers.
But yeah, and when you have an Aatrox and a Malphite up in that top side, you're not really concerned with like, hey, we're going to aggressively attack this top side, but certainly a little bit more to MGE being able to attack top side if they can, because they do have an Aatrox, and if Aatrox does get ahead, all of a sudden you run into a whole lot of issues with this Malphite concerning his build, right? Because you'd love to start building MR early and not have to over invest into armor. You just want kind of the bare minimum amount of armor against this Aatrox with the Mythic, with then the Steel Cap boots, because there is so much magic damage coming in from MGE with the Silas and the Echo that you want a little bit of magic resistance to deal with those two champions.
You can't over-index into any one type of the resistance factors when you do have to deal with the double AP carries coming in from MGE here. I am curious once again to see how this bottom lane goes here, as Kilroy already going to be moving forward with that aggressive Bone Spear. Won't be able to land it here, but there's just so much fighting going on in the mid lane as well here. Definitely going to be a mid-bot side focus game here from both of these teams, as Bone Skewer after Bone Skewer are going out just trying to fish for something for the side of Cafe3.
Yeah, and for MGE, this is kind of what you want to see. It is just a whole lot of trading, because that can create opportunities for picks.
Ooh, great engage coming in from the bottom lane of MGE. Mind Warrior wants to try and keep going here, but providing a shield will mean that Stringy Bird doesn't get chunked out too hard when stepping up there. Unfortunately, no force shot will land onto either DeChosen or Kilroy here. Cannon picked up here from Kilroy. Great use of the stacks there. Both of these junglers now just starting up their second buffs here, and this is where I want to expect seeing both Echo and Xin Zhao try and influence this map, as Scuttle spawning onto the map will be a point of contention for both of these teams.
Yeah, and unfortunately here, with the Jhin Rakan, they're actually not able to really contest the wave, so I expect this the Echo to try and sprint up towards this top half to try and secure himself that other crab, as he does have wave advantages and, more importantly, champion advantages when it comes to mid and top lane. But at the same time, like, the trading just doesn't stop here in this bottom lane. They're constantly going at it, which is slightly surprising coming in from a Rakan who wants to sit back, but not too surprising from a Pyke who wants to fight as much as possible, although he also does want to leave lane as soon as possible.
With this early game, all the fighting that's been going on, both of these teams doing a fantastic job of being able to pick up as much CS as possible so far. Shove in the bottom lane for Cafe3 has not been able to result in much outside of just trading health bar, but we can see you start Boots 4 pots here for Stringy Bird, and he's feeling just fine so far. It's really going to be the top lane if we go back up there, and we can see, as you're mentioning, Echo was able to find that top side Scuttle Crab. Jhin able to get a back off as well here, and has been able to sit up nice and healthy and with a slight farm advantage, and with the wave crashing back towards his side of that lane. I want to see if MGE might be able to punish this early game Malphite pick a little bit. He is going to be running Comet as well, just to try and make sure that his laning phase isn't too awful into this Aatrox, but what is going to be the setup here for MGE is we can already see Cafe3. They want to try and hover around this bottom side, but Hubbard wants to reset for this dragon.
Yeah, and for MGE, they're feeling confident with holding the wave where it is, and even looking for trades still. Remember, they do have the health potion advantage. They have such great sustain advantages here that it makes a lot of sense why they keep going for these trades, right? You have the Rakan sustain, you have 4 potions, and you also have fleet footwork. So as long as you're able to continue to trade out, you will slowly get an advantage, and that's going to transition into not only a 6 CS advantage, it's going to turn into a little bit more as well, because they are able to force the back from both of those Cafe3 members. So great advantage gained down in the bot side, and also an advantage gained up top side with Jhin being able to manage his wave, get those winning trades, and he has the CS advantage with the wave coming into him. But the big thing here to keep note of, Panda, level 6, has teleport. He's looking for a play bot lane ASAP.
Dragon is available still for both of these teams. Kilroy, with his first roam of the game, will make his way towards the middle side of the map. It has been a kind of rift. Oh my god, it's going to be double flash drops on the map. Well, the turnaround night started as Panda with the first blood here. Great prediction on the flash coming in by Jhin there, and with the level 6 advantage, it is the Malphite in the top lane that picks up first blood.
Oh my lord, Jinjin, he didn't have to go for that trade. He had such a big wave coming into him. He, like, yes, he's able to use his ult and get back, or use his teleport and get back there, no problem. He doesn't lose out. But the big thing here is now you can't go for a matching teleport play once you do hit level 6 yourself. So it's just a whole lot lost there, but Heppo trying to make up for it.
Ooh, that's going to be a lot of damage thrown down in the mid lane. Maybe one more stack of that Victor ultimate. Not going to be able to connect with Is That Them. So the Victor able to walk out just barely with his life in that mid lane. Trade so close here as Heppo blowing the flash to make that play happen. And surprisingly, Is That Them able to hold on to theirs. So it is going to be a flash advantage in the mid lane still here for the side of Cafe3.
And this changes the calculus quite a bit here, because now you're looking this top side, tables have turned quite a bit. Even though this bot side is still relatively okay, Jinjin, he's in big trouble.
The World Ender was using order to try and get that
No
move
flash
to get out of here. No flash available for this Aatrox. So much damage being done by After Herbert. He has to use the ultimate just to get the first sound available.
Yep.
Flash is going to be able to come in here from the Jinja, but it will be matched by the teleport of Heppo as he comes in, able to secure that kill for himself. Stringy Bird, Mind Warrior, bottom side of the map. They're trading back and forth here. That's going to be the flash coming out from Stringy Bird in order to make sure he gets caught up in that stun. Level 6 was hit by the Chosen. That's going to be the final hour popped as the Vayne wants to try and move forward here. Will not be able to find any more off the back of that stun, though, and it will be a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Panda X denying the invade from Hold Hander here. Unstoppable Force not quite available, so Echo able to walk away from that one.
Yeah, man, this top lane has really just gone to the into the dumpsters after that level 6 trade, and now Stringy Bird, he might go down too.
Oh no, there's no level 6 for Kilroy. Level 6 has been hit by Mind Warrior
flash!
there. That's going to be the flash. That's going to be the condemn. One more auto attack will be able to secure it here for the Chosen 6 as he finds a kill with the help of his jungler and support here with no AD carry. This can mean a potential dragon start from Cafe3 as Victor also has priority in the mid lane.
And now Cafe3, they've got huge advantages, right? Because you get a kill in that bot lane. That top side just got wholly flipped on its head by Jinjin's misplay there. So you just got so many advantages. Yes, the gold is just very small when it comes to just thinking about, wow, I'm saying there's a whole lot of advantages, but then you look at the gold difference and there's not a ton in that regard. But remember, this is such an all-in composition from MG Eclipse that if it gets past 20 minutes in MGE, they don't have maybe a 3 or 4k gold lead. They're slowly going to bleed out in a lot of these factors, because if you all dive in together, that's an easy 4-man ultimate every single time for this Malphite, for this Victor as well. So it's just really, really easy, and that just makes the resets even easier for this Pyke on top of it.
Mind Warrior rotating towards the mid lane. Ooh, the Deadly Flourish barely not going to be able to after that. Will be the knockup coming in from the Rakan. Heppo able to finish that one off as the Silas goes up 2-0. If there is one thing here going for MGE, Aatrox may be behind, but the Silas is slowly pulling ahead here. 2 kills in the middle lane here, and when these team fights start to happen, that unstoppable force steal is going to be looking so much pretty here for the side of the MG Eclipse.
And they just have to start really channeling. They need to get things going through this Jhin pick, which seems a little bit weird, but this Jhin is going to be instrumental. Mind Warrior, though, possibly caught out, stunned against the wall, and while he will be able to walk off, that's so much damage coming down onto the Rakan that it's not a fun time. Does offer the possibility of a dive in that lane, but both of these junglers are chilling out topside.
You're surprised to see how much aggression is just coming in from this really scaling Vayne pick, just because of the fact that it's been paired with the Pyke so early on, which is a great way to kind of mitigate, I feel, the early weaknesses of the Vayne. When you have somebody who's so willing to fight, so willing to duel in the early stages with the amount of CC that is provided through Kilroy's champion here. We do have a little bit of a lull in action from both of the so here as Echo and Jin Zhao have been struggling to find their way onto the map so far this game. Hubbard and Hold Hander really just watching their laners fight it out constantly in the 1v1s and 2v2s across every single lane as tensions are building once again on this top side of the map.
Tensions rising slowly but surely. And when you look at the gold, it's pretty much dead even. But everyone's starting to converge bot. Once more, it's 4v3 at the moment, but Heppo is making his way over as well. And Jin, we get the
Great
turn.
Aatrox able to stall as much time as possible, was able to get away from the unstoppable force. One more auto attack might be available, but the flash is up for Panda X. He doesn't want to use it just quite yet. Flash, that's going to be the cheese wheel as well, used in order to buy himself some extra space.
Oh,
but he
still
goes down!
gets
No,
it.
he got minion aggro!
Oh,
Hit by the range creeps. That is tragedy here. Fight breaking out on the bottom side of the map. Call using order to try and buy some space here from the bottom lane. MG going in fully. Oh, that's going to be a great upstock though. Is that them going to be taking so much damage here? The Victor goes down after Hubbard. He doesn't have more. He's going to be getting killed. X marks the smart death from below as the Pike is able to find two, but not without the Chosen able to get some in range. The Vayne, the last fighter in this team fight on the bottom river, will be able to secure 2, maybe even 3 kills for themselves as the Chosen is the final winner.
oh, just one good fight and instantly the gold just shifts in favor of Cafe3. Yes, it was pretty much an even trade in that situation, but one team has Pike resets and the other team does not. And the extra Pike gold is coming in absolutely massive. Right there is, I believe they cashed in on an extra 6 or maybe even 900 gold in that situation. We're going to have the gold pulled up here. This Vayne is an absolute behemoth at the moment. Has 27 extra 100 gold in her pockets to spend. That's going to cash in and translate into a, well, it looks like not only is it the, I forgot.
Immortal shield bow.
Shield bow. Thank you.
Ew.
Jesus. We got shield bow, but we also have Wit's End on its way, which is going to do so much work against this composition, which is double AP. You're going to get immense value out of that item combination. So MGE, we talked about they need a gold lead with this composition. This does not look like a gold lead, Chris.
It only makes it worse to think that the shutdown Heppo going over to the Chosen. Oh my goodness, that's going to be an engage coming in with the final hour there. Immediate flash coming in by Stringy Bird here. He understands that he cannot take that fight. Will be able to keep himself safe from the condemn into the wall there. His second dragon of the game will be started up your Cafe3. They have so much of an advantage, you keep saying it, Nightstar, but it really does come down to the fact that they have this scaling composition. They have so many damage threats, and they're also the one with the early game gold lead. Trying to find a fight onto Hubbard here. Possible pick. Current call will be used, but the Xin shot will so much time. Fourth shot will connect here, but the life steal, meaning that Mind Warrior is the one that picks that one up.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
wait.
bottom side though, Heppo doing so much work here. Not going to be able to execute.
no.
Barely surviving there from the Chosen. The Stolen Pike ultimate will not be able to secure the kill, which means that is a fourth kill to this Vayne AD carry as it's 2 for 1 across the board.
Yeah, but you just imagine the amount of value they could have gotten from that Stolen Pike ultimate in that situation if they get the shutdown gold onto Vayne. Unfortunately, it doesn't come to fruition, and now Jin, he's in trouble as well. He's going to eat so much damage, and shield bow Vayne, you just can't kill this champion in the 1v1.
And that's a shutdown gold that was given over to the Chosen there. I don't... Shinjin crewing a couple of kills in the past couple of team fights has been able to up with the extra 150 gold for the Chosen to be able to harvest after that 1v1, and just seems like a bit of aggression here from MGE. They want to try and find these early leads that we're talking about. They want to try and find these fights where they're going to be able to reclaim some of that gold that they have to have in these early stages, and it's just causing them to slip up in a couple of these team fights here and giving over extra gold once again towards this Vayne. 5-0 in 1. The Negatron code completed, now having the second part of that with and an becoming that 2-3 item powerhouse Vayne that everybody knows and fears in the mid game. Oh my.
600 gold kill. That is insane value coming in from a support champion, by the way. Just being able to 1v1 you and get extra money because of it. Jin trying to chase down this Malphite, but at this stage in the game, Malphite is perfectly fine being able to take these trades and still be able to walk out whatever he wants. But right now, he's still like, the sustain's not that nuts coming in from an Aatrox. You can take this fight.
More aggression coming in from Jin here, though. He doesn't seem to be winning the bulk of this, as the completed Frozen Gauntlet is up and available for Panda, so he's got a lot of armor, a lot of extra trading potential with those Frozen Gauntlet procs as well here. And at 17 minutes into this game, we didn't get to see a Rift Herald picked up early by either one of these teams here. Instead, it has been a lot of just map control coming in from the side of Cafe3, playing around this bottom lane, making sure that this Vayne can have a really accelerated early game. And so far, it is providing dividends, 5-0-1. A lot of items in the pockets of this bottom lane AD carries. Now, we're starting to reach towards these mid stages of the game. No turrets have been picked up just quite yet, and I'm curious to see when we're going to see our next full-on team fight. It could be in a couple minutes here, as we have spawned onto yet another Winsole map.
Winsole, extremely beneficial actually for both of these squads, right? Because they are so ult reliant. Vayne needs her ult. The Pyke loves his ult being available. Same with the Malphite. And on the flip side, Sylas, whenever you have a Sylas, you want that ult cooldown. But Jin, well, he would also love to have his life, and that's not something that's being afforded to him.
Yeah, you can't always have what you want here, Nightstar, and sometimes when you're getting dove under tower by 3 people, it means that staying alive is a little bit difficult. Heppo going for the 1v1 on the bottom side. We'll be able to trade Victorol for Victorol. That's going to be the flash for the Kingslayer in order to try and buy as much health as he can, but he's not going to be able to find the damage he needs in order to secure that kill. First turret will be secured on the top side of the map here by Cafe3, as they're also able to pick up that first Rift Herald of this game, late game, really late stages of the game here. I do expect that they want to try and use that one towards the middle lane, break open that mid lane turret, and start looking towards controlling the rest of the map with the early game advantages they have found themselves.
Yeah, and this is a much different game from game number 1, where it was a lot of very fast map movements in the early stages, and then things really slowed down when it came to the mid and towards, of course, that late game. But it's a lot different this time around. A lot slower opening when it comes to map rotations and being able to crush these towers, and it's been a lot more lane focused. Just continue to find these skirmishes, and that's been the priority rather than the objectives in the towers. Like the Rift Herald, or just trying to take first brick earlier rather than later. And now we're headed into a pause. Not sure who called the pause, but it means we have a little bit of extra time to try and digest what's happened so far in this game. And MGE, they're still, they're definitely on the back foot still. Yes, when it comes to the 1-3-1, you expect the Sylas and the Aatrox to be able to outmaneuver and outmatch their counterparts. But at the moment, because of the gold advantage, it's not looking quite that way at the moment.
It's a really tough situation here if you're looking at the side of MG Eclipse here. You mentioned it all throughout Champion Select in the early stages of this game, Nightstar, is that you need to be finding early advantages, especially for the like of this Echo and this Sylas. And it just feels like, while Heba was able to get some, unfortunately, we just haven't seen a whole lot of hold hander here on the Rift this game yet. And while we haven't necessarily seen Hubbard impacting either in his own regards, when he does come onto the Rift, he's able to find impactful enough plays to keep his bottom lane ahead, to keep his top lane trading even into box, which should have been a losing lane matchup. However, because of some early game fumbles here by MG Eclipse, it means that they're really struggling to find the team that's all in aggression that they need to be having, because they're still, I can't walk away from it. They're still looking down the barrel of a 6-0 early game Vayne, and know how many different ways you look at it, how many different angles you try to approach it. That's a late game Vayne that you're gonna have to answer to eventually. And as those items start to come more in line, it is only looking scarier for Eclipse.
Yeah, but the big benefit here for the side of Eclipse is the fact that one of the big parts of their composition is that they're really good at killing one member, right? You have
Hmm.
Echo, a whole lot of single target damage. You have this Silas who's going to bring a lot of single target damage as well, and then you have the Jin who's, I mean, he has execution damage, and that is really good on finishing off a single target. So if they find the vein, if all the stars align, and it's a lot of stars, mind you, if they do align, they will be able to one shot this vein, and then you're dealing with pretty much a mobile Victor who the Aatrox can easily dog down pretty well in these fights as well. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for MGE to make a comeback. It's just really difficult because it is, again, Vayne has a lot of mobility, has the invisibility as well. So there's a lot of things you have to navigate. So that's why there's a lot of stars that you have to kind of connect the dots to.
There's a lot of, and I think that the first thing that we have to do when connecting stars is connecting the vision as well here for both of these teams, and something we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about. You got to have that vision set up as the first and foremost thing coming in from either side here. In MG Eclipse versus Cafe, we haven't seen a whole lot of one-sided dominant vision coverage going on here. It seems like there's a lot of trading back and forth, and what it comes down to for me, this next dragon fight that's coming up in a couple of minutes once we're out of the pause and we get back into the game, it
Mhm.
it does mean that if they're able to really find that vision, find the positioning that they need, there is a whole lot of potential for the side of MG Eclipse to make these picks happen because of just the nature of the composition. This all in style. If
Mhm.
somebody face checks your melee champion, it means that you can hit off the bat and then continue to chase them once they use their flash and use their mobility to get away. As we are hopping back into the game here, ladies and gentlemen, not too long of a pause here. And I was wrong on that dragon fight timer here, Night Stars. It's going to be starting right upon this dragon spawning here as we get back into the Epo. Has to take the Unstoppable Force to safety here. So that big team fight ticket that we were talking about here for MJ Eclipse already off the team, unfortunately.
Yeah, the importance of this fight was that, well, they'd love to contest this dragon and prevent the third dragon going into the hands of Cafe3, but unable to do so. So now Cafe3 are staring at a very early soul dragon, and now we're going to be fighting over this blue buff, and looks like they're going to lose a lot for this attempt.
Oh no, Hold-Hander, that's not where you want to be going. He flashes to his teammate, but it only sets up the double offable force here from side of Cafe3. The Chosen, he's going under turret. The Chosen doesn't care. The Chosen is going godlike as he hits Legendary with the double kill. That is going to mean such a huge advantage here for Cafe3 as they're just rolling over this game off the back of that.
This game is pretty much over, Icarus. It is so hard to deal with this Vayne, and just the fact that they are down 6,000 gold. At this point, if you're MGE, what you're doing is you're trying to farm up as much as you can coming in from these extra waves, but more than likely, you're just camping bushes as much as possible. Hope that someone face checks you, and then you're able to just delete a member very quickly and hopefully use that numbers advantage to then turn around and find a fight. But let's we're adding a couple more stars to the equation. There is a lot more dots to connect, and I don't know if MGE have enough time or have enough paper to connect them all.
They need his belt, and now they just need all of Orion to make this one happen. Unfortunately for the side of MG Eclipse here, they're sitting extremely far behind. 7,000 gold in the lead here at just 21.5 minutes. Baron is on the board and available for the side of Cafe3 here. So where they want to try and pressure the map next, we already see that ward coverage we were talking about during the primer come here for the side of Cafe3. Kilroy in particular, really going around the map here. I got to give this man props. 68 ward vision, moving that one up to 70. He is just everywhere, controlling the vision of this game. Nearly doubling, I want to say doubling his entire team's total vision score. So this man really putting in the work where it needs to be done here is Heppo looking for a fight on the bottom side of the map, which we do have more trades on the top side as well. That's unstoppable force will not result in a kill, as Panda X is able to just walk away.
Mindware able to get away, and that bot side also really important. But now Heppo coming in with Jinjin.
Ooh, Jinjin trying to make this one happen. Unfortunately, not going to find any of those sweet spots. So it will be an unstoppable force for an unstoppable force safety here for Pandas. We still see so much pressure being applied on this top side of the map. Your resets coming in by Cafe3. I think this is about time that they look to start up this Baron, but teleports are available for both of MGE's members. They will be able to secure that bottom lane outer turret, so some gold put back in their pockets here. This Baron will be seen as it gets started up here by the side of Cafe3. And when do we see this fight get truly started by this blue side team? Tensions are high here. They want to try and end this one early. They do not want to let this one go late, despite the fact that they have the scaling composition. They seem to be playing so aggressive and so far forward here.
You're really just trying to choke out the rest of the map here for MGE, and the longer you distract them around this barren area, that means they're not getting vision around this next dragon, which is more important. But here comes the engage. They're trying to get back into the game now.
That is going to be the chrono shift that is used by Holdhander in order to try and get out here. Oh my goodness,
execution.
That's going to be the execution used not to get the kill, but to get the 3-man stun here for the side of CF3. But it will mean a double kill coming in from Holdhander here. He's able to make his way into the backline. Chosen still alive, still up.
They get the
available here.
bait.
The final hour is not here. He's going to have to try and dodge away from these shots from the curtain call. Is that them? We'll be able to take up that fourth and final shot here. It is a 2 for 3 at the end of the day here in MGE. They're able to find a couple of kills for themselves, but now that it is a victor in the vein, gathered around the mid lane here, they're going to be putting pressure on this mid lane inhibitor turret. And what is there that MG Eclipse can do? Stringy Bird wants to clear out this wave as best he can, but he has to fear the threat of a Vayne that is 10-0, diving him underneath his turret. Mid lane inhibitor turret will go down, but they're going to abandon the hit. Leave it for later days. They want to just get back and get some more pressure put on this Baron.
Cafe3, they continue to take these fights and come out ahead, even though, yes, you didn't get the resets coming in from the Pike, but the 3-man stun ends up creating enough space that it didn't really matter. He doesn't need the extra gold value because he's just creating more nuisances for the side of MGE to deal with, that they're forced to ignore that Vayne in that backline, and the Vayne able to survive, walk away. And unfortunately, Stringy Bird going for the collector. I think that pretty much kills a lot of my hope in this game. Really needed the LDR to try and deal with the Xin and the with the Malphite trying to barrel in at him, and now he's really hoping that his bullets start curving and he's able to just bend the bullet, get rid of the Chosen or this Victor. And now they're just running in at him. He can't do a whole lot. He has to really hope that this Gale Force is just enough, but now that that's on cooldown, his positioning has to really change drastically.
Jinjin has to teleport into this fight as everyone gathering
Still
on
looking
the
to
top side.
fight.
Bone Skewer finds Mind Warrior. There's going to still be the quickness available for this Recon if he ever needs to get out of a tight situation, but holding on to it for now. No teleport on this Aatrox as Cafe3 does back away, so they're resetting on the map softly here. There are no more teleports available for any of their solo laners, so they want to try and continue pressure on this Baron. It means that everybody has to be up towards that top side of the map and available if a team fight were to break out.
And the big thing here, like Cafe3, there's just so much vision denial coming in from this Pike pick. Has, of course, the Umbral Glaive, and on top of that has the Oracle's Elixir as well. So, you know, he's just power clearing these wards so quickly. He has a whole lot of move speed, as we can see right here in Jinjin. He might go down to the support, but Kilroy, he doesn't need to get kills. He can just be as annoying as possible. You can't walk anywhere safely against this pick. It's so annoying. There's so much vision denial. There's so much invisible pressure you have to deal with in Mind Worry. He's doing his best. Like, look at his vision score. He's at 70. He is not doing bad. It's just Cafe3, Kilroy. This Pike pick's just better.
doing so much work here. Is that them? Has to flash those. Heppo was able to find a great engage. That's going to be a couple of forces trying to go for it. The curtain call is able to find one. Jinjin finds the second. That's going to be one. That's going to do the resets. It's 2 for 2 so far as Jinjin hasn't been able, has to use the stopwatch in order to try and keep himself alive here.
Stringy Bird, he has to run.
Flash away here.
Get out of there.
Ignoring the Aatrox all there as Vayne is popping off in the back lines here. It is still a 3 for 3 at the end of the day here, so not the worst of trades here for the side of MGE. But what can the Chosen and Hubbard find afterwards? The Chosen
get out,
trying to get in here. The Vayne does have that passive, does have the ability to follow up on a lot of these picks here. One more auto attack, another one more with that tumble is going to be able to find one. Is going to be able to find two, and the Chosen is 13-0 and cannot be stopped.
Ginsu's completed. And look at that next item. He's got a Spirit Visage on the way.
I hate it.
He knows. All he needs is that third proc. He doesn't need actual real damage when he's just playing off the Silver Bolt procs and Heppo. He's put in a situation where he's trying to save the game all by himself, but just too many members around. He's not going to be able to really make a contest, and they even pull in that extra teleport coming in from Cafe3 to ensure that they get themselves this Baron buff, and with it, it should just be the game.
Where are you going, Mind Warrior? That's not towards your base, but I guess in 35 seconds you'll be returning to your base anyways, now that he has gone down trying to make the hero attempt on stealing that Baron. The Baron will be secured here by the side of Cafe3 though, Nightstar, and it's looking like all but over here as we are looking towards that rest of this series. Cafe3 want to end out game 2 here and put themselves in 2-0 fashion, taking command of this lead. And we were saying before that a best of 5 does give you a lot of room to adjust and to make changes that you need, but when you lose game 1 and then game 2 is the one that's looking so drastic here, oh, it's just bullying. It's just bullying at this point.
Bullying is definitely one way to put it, and I would 100% agree with you. And I mean, this collector pick not really paying off, and I mean, Hold Hander, he's down, he's out.
What else is there to say?
They're just looking for the next game. The Chosen, he is the Chosen 1. He's not the Chosen 6. No?
He's the Chosen 15-0-4 is what he is, Nightstar. He's popping off this game in game 2 here. Cafe3, they find the 2 Nexus turrets, they find the middle inhibitor once again, and they're looking to end this best of 5 as quickly as they can. Final attempts coming in here by MG.
Hail Mary.
On the back lane. After Hubbard, though, will be able to finish that one off. Is that
not
finds
enough.
a second kill. There's too much gold here for Cafe3 as they're going to be able to pick up the second game in our best of 5 series, going 2-0 and looking to make a beeline undefeated streak towards the finals here in UML.
Looking to reach finals undefeated, and that is a ridiculous run. Even at this level of play, like, yes, it's UML. It's not the peak level of unified that we have to offer, but that's still not bad. It's not like these players are scrubs. This is still very
still all diamond
competitive.
players. They're still all better than me.
Yeah. So for them to go and set themselves up for a perfect run is really, really nuts here in Cafe3. Like, the draft answers that they have been good. It's been very, very good. And for the side of MGE, they're trying to bring out these curveballs. They're trying to answer back in drafts. But I think the big key part is we need to see more from their jungler, right? This time around, on the Echo pick was able to put on a bit of a jungle farming clinic, but the impact wasn't there. He had so much gold value in himself, but he wasn't able to translate it into anything tangible for his team, whether it's objectives or getting key picks onto their backline carries, just wasn't there.
And we were really hoping to see kind of that early aggression coming in here from the side of MG Eclipse. You can't be drafting the Silas Echo Aatrox all in composition if you're not willing to make some of those more aggressive early game picks here. For the side of MG Eclipse, we just kind of need to see an overall upgrade to their early aggression if they're not willing to match this late game scaling. That Cafe3 has been pulling off so well. We see them win what was a hard scaling composition in 25-30 minutes here as they are heading towards what is a very swift victory for themselves. And I'm really got a lot of questions here for MJ Eclipse. Game one was so close. We need to see some of that magic come back, but there's only one way to find out what game three is going to look like, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be after a quick delay here as we get set up for the third and potentially final game here in our best of five semifinal series between Cafe3 and MG Eclipse. Do not touch that browser. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
have to remember.
Don't lose your way. Your mind free of to be as the one. Don't be afraid. Let's return. This is
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopping into potentially the final game here of our semifinals between Cafe3 and MG Eclipse off of what is a very commanding game two coming in by the side of Cafe3. Late game scaling composition that finds an early lead, 15-0 Vayne. What is there really to say, Nightstar?
It was just one misplay coming in from that early game composition when it came to the lane phase really doomed the rest of the game, right? You had the level 5 death coming in from this Aatrox up in that 1v1. Because of that, never able to recover against the Malphite. The Malphite was fine the rest of the game. They never threw any extra attention up top side, probably because the Echo was waiting for Aatrox to get an advantage, to be able to snowball the advantage, but that never happened. And then in that bot lane, yes, there was a whole lot of scrapping going on. Yes, they had the sustain advantage early on, but once you go back and get that shield bow built up, they never has an issue with sustain anymore. And then you're slowly able to win out on these longer extended trades. And that was really it.
It felt really unfortunate from the side of the bottom lane here for MG Eclipse. I really need to see Holdhander be putting in a lot more pressure on the map, because you cannot allow a lane like the Pyke Vayne to be shoved up in that lane constantly without trying to put some kind of pressure, some kind of punishment into how far forward they were, and we just never got to see that opportunity. Also, Heppo was able to get a lead in the mid lane, and we didn't really see him have the opportunity to spread that around the rest of the map as well. But is that them really applying a lot of pressure on the minion waves in particular? It just felt like, despite the fact that MG Eclipse really wanted to roam and really wanted to find these opportunities, they just never had the waves in the correct state. They never had the pressure in the individual laning phases to be able to make those cross map plays happen.
Yeah, and again, this was a composition built to 1-3-1, and they weren't able to get lane leads, which means that you don't have the gold accumulated to then 1-3-1. And not only that, they lost control of the first two dragons, which forced them in a situation where they were on a even more shorter timer than they were kind of expecting, because then you have to contest that dragon soul, and things were just really all lined up against them. So Cafe3, they end up closing out game 2 in pretty clean fashion. Now they're up 2-0, where we finally get a side swap coming in from MGE, and now it's just a matter of what do you do with this first pick? Because we looked at a lot of their opening picks. A lot of these champions you don't really necessarily prioritize for first pick, and it doesn't feel like they're looking to deny anything away from Cafe3 really, unless you're looking at perhaps getting your hands on an early Yumi pick. That could be something to keep note of, but I'm really struggling to figure out what they're aiming for with this first pick.
It is going to be the first time that we see MG Eclipse on the blue side, so they have a lot of potential here. I do think that they've kind of been dropping the ball when it comes to that 5th counter pick availability. They've been revealing their solo laners much sooner than they could, instead opting towards trying to get counter pick for their support. And we saw even in the last game that Rakan not doing too hot into the Pyke, felt like they were constantly just being pressured underneath turret, and he never found a great grand entrance or any kind of engage onto the short range AD carry. So maybe with first pick they'll be able to find some better priority for themselves, as they have switched up the ban phase a little bit. Malzahar is still taken off the board here from MG Eclipse, but it will also be the Jin Zhao and that Vayne from the last game taken away here. A couple more champions available for the side of Cafe3, in particular that LeBlanc, which was actually the LeBlanc banned by Cafe3, but what it does mean is that the Camille and Kha'Zix are going to be up and available here for a Cafe3 if they want them.
Kha'Zix is a very interesting pick here, because while it is a denial pick away from Hubbard, don't imagine it to be a first pick priority.
I don't think so either.
And it's a very interesting pick, because you think, well, it adds a lot of objective control, right? Because you can shred objectives with your empowered Q damage. But I feel like it's another early game champion. It's supposed to be early game at least. where you need to be able to snowball around this champ early on. It's very similar to the Echo Vein, but it does also leave up the early game answer for Cafe3, because when you do try and go early game, it means that you can also answer that early game jungler with an early game of your own, and Rek'Sai just has better scrap potential earlier before level 6, and even at level 6 has that extra execution damage, and now we get some of the extra spice. Seeing the Camille, it's instantly the answer with the Sejuani, and folks, this is not a Sejuani jungle, it's a Sejuani top lane.
It's gonna be a very spicy game here, Nightstar. I was hoping to see this one eventually here. It's like Camille will be locked in, but that Sejuani, it is gonna. Jinjin has been locking in the Sejuani in the last series with Teleport Ignite of all things as well. So a very interesting matchup to behold. I'm super excited to see how it plays out. I don't think that the Camille matchup is necessarily the one that you want to be playing it into, though, because when it comes to that side lane pressure, Camille with that true damage is going to be putting in a lot of work versus Jinjin. So this Sejuani top lane pick has to be purely for trying to re-engage these team fights for the side of MG Eclipse. They have to be looking to start fights off on their own terms, and that means I need to see some kind of hyper carry mid lane champion being locked in here in the second rotation. Ziggs is going to be the final pickup for Cafe3, and if you're looking at that kind of composition on the side of MG Eclipse, you need to have some damage to back up that Jin Sejuani.
So here's the thing. The Sejuani actually has a lot better early trades against the Camille than you might think, because you're most likely going for Ignite, and even if the Camille answers with her own Ignite, she doesn't have the extra true damage coming out from her Q quite yet, because she's not quite scaling. She doesn't have the items that Sejuani with her base damages will just pummel you in that top side. So I'm looking for a whole lot of aggression coming in from Jinjin to really take advantage of this matchup, but loving the Ziggs pick because it is a good answer into the Jin, answer range with range, and it also means that you open up the possibilities of maybe an aggressive AD counter pick in this mid lane, something like Leone, something like a Yasuo, if Heppo decides to go for, you know, a control mage, which you need a lot of damage here. A control mage does offer that, but it leaves open that counter pick, of course, to Cafe3, which I would expect for them to save counter pick here for their mid laner.
My question is, what kind of support can we expect for the side of Cafe3 to lock in here? The Pyke has been banned away by MG Eclipse here. They're also looking to potentially ban out that Xerath, but the supports on the other side were Zyra and Yumi banned away once again by Cafe3, not letting that book cat out of its cage just quite yet. The Xerath ban is going to be locked in here from the side of Cafe3, so it's telling me that, again, we might be looking at an Azir or something of that likes in the middle lane here for the side of MG Eclipse. Support pick or potential mid lane pick still on the table here for Cafe3. I'd like to see a Leona. I would like to see Ayo. There it is, the Leona being locked in here. Typical early aggression from the bottom lane of Cafe3. Something to allow this Ziggs, give the Ziggs a lot of room and provide some clear engage opportunities for Cafe.
Level 6 is going to be explosive for this combination. Of course, having that extra Leona passive damage is going to help out quite a bit, but I love this answer. Going for a Poppy, this is a support Poppy pick, able to deny a lot of the power coming in from the Leona. When she tries to dash in, you just throw up the Steadfast Presence. It denies that. Also, and because of that, you're able to cancel out a lot of the all-in pressure, and MGE, they push the tempo with this Twisted Fate pick, but because of that, there are so many answers you can go with, because Twisted Fate is just not the lane dominant champion, and we see Akshan get locked in because of that. So there's a lot of possibilities here. It could be mid lane Akshan, or it could be Ziggs mid lane against the TF, because if TF ever leaves lane, the Ziggs will just destroy your mid lane tower. But that also goes for the Akshan, because of course he's an auto attacker. He can destroy turrets very easily that way as well. So loving the draft coming in from Cafe3. They once again have all the answers, but for MGE, this is again a very different flair coming out. So I like that they are trying very, very different things each and every time.
It's gonna go one of two ways here, Nightstar, and that's how these Akshan picks really go, and I'm super excited to see how this game plays out. You either pop off, and I'll see you in 25 minutes, and we'll be done for the night here as Cafe3 runs through this game, or you do nothing the entirety of the early game, and you have to try and stall this game out for 45 minutes in order to have any kind of impact where your passive has more impact on the state of the game than you do. So it's a really spicy draft once again by both of these teams here. We got to see the Alawi game 1 this time around. We get to see the Sejuani and the Kazakhs being locked in and have been banned away. And in the previous games, we had the Malphite Vayne composition that Cafe3 like to run for themselves. So we're getting a little bit of everything. We get to see all the tricks in both of the books here from these teams, and I'm really excited to see how this game plays out. Unfortunately for MG Eclipse, though, it's another one of those games where I look at the composition and I say they have to find some early game leads for themselves.
Yep. They need to snowball around this composition, but they have really all the tools to do so this time around, right? Where last time you have a lot of these lanes that should get advantages, but you had really no way to push these lane advantages necessarily. This time around, they've got a TF. You have a lot of long range engage. You have a Sejuani ultimate, right? And more importantly, like, look at this Poppy value, right? There's dashes on literally everyone on the other side. You can just put this entire composition into the trash bin with one steadfast presence. You can stop Camille Dash, you can stop the Rek'Sai Tunnel, you can stop the Akshan Rope, you can stop the Satchel Charge coming in from Ziggs, you can stop Leona. It's just like infinite value from the support Poppy.
And I like to see that kind of like early game aggression also coming in with the support Poppy. We've been trying to see it all series so far here from the side of MG Eclipse. With the Rakan, I was kind of lackluster. I'm really hoping that this time around, when it's 2 full engage style champions being played here, the Poppy has the potential to do so much work into that Leona, denying the Xanath Blades, being able to re-engage, find some kind of wallbang versus the 6 as well. And I do think that this is going to be yet another game where we have to be looking at this bottom side of the map here. In particular, once those level 6s are available for the side of Cafe3, they want to just immediately blow up their lane and look to apply pressure to every turret across the map. Really take advantage of those satchel charges and the extra platings that they can pick up and the extra gold that they can find throughout the early stages of this game.
So we head on to the Rift. One of the things I've been really looking for when it comes to having an Akshan in a game is how does a team play around it. And I love compositions that are bringing in multiple teleports, because then you're able to actually take advantage of that Akshan revive, right? You get the revive off and you can instantly rejoin the fight because you do have the teleport available for you. And I also love the item start here, starting with the call, knowing that, hey, it is that TF in the 1v1, I'm not going to have an issue. But because of that call buy, you have to say there are flags raised here. And if you are MG Eclipse, you're pulling Mind Warrior over very early on to try and gank this mid lane. You're pulling your jungler over to try and gank this mid lane early on, because this call doesn't give you a whole lot of value here when it comes to getting ganked.
It's going to be really important that MG Eclipse makes something happen in the early game here. With this Kha'Zix, you have to try and find those early leads, and you don't want to allow that Colt to really scale up here. The question is, will they be able to make it happen versus is that them? As he's done such a fantastic job of absorbing pressure throughout this entire series so far. He saw some ganks early on in game 1. Last game versus the Silas was able to go toe-to-toe versus what was, you know, typically a counter matchup, but making everything work out in his favor. And we already see the aggression coming in from this Akshan, doing a great job of trading back and forth with Theppo here, but he wants to just keep this wave frozen in the middle of this lane.
And of course, the big thing early on is that, well, TF actually has a decent amount of advantage when it comes to straight up sustain. Yes, you have a call, and that gives you more sustain than something like a Doran's Blade, but you need to auto-attack quite a bit. Now we're just going to get constant fighting again in really all these lanes here. And for the side of MGE, they really need to be aggressive when it comes to attacking these lanes in the side, because they're going to have better trade patterns. early on into a Ziggs who needs items before he really starts looking good. And same with this Camille. Needs items, and it's about these base damages coming in from a Jin, from a Sejuani to try and take advantage and hopefully pull a kill out of nowhere, and or try and facilitate a kill for this Kha'Zix pick.
And it really does come down to handholder on this Kha'Zix pick, as you were saying, Nightstar. Whether or not this early game goes in favor of MG Eclipse comes down to how much influence this jungler can get across the map here, because we've seen that Cafe3 does just a fantastic job of absorbing pressure throughout the early stages of this game. Already he's set up on that already we see the hold hander set up on that top side scuttle crab, so trying to get the tempo on this Rek'Sai has done pretty much a full clear minus those Krugs camps after Herbert going towards the top side of the map. Jin Lurk does not have that flash available. Meanwhile, Panda does. There's going to be a teleport coming in from Hepo on the top side of the map. That's going to be first blood given over to the side of Cafe3, but what's it going to cost him? Camille goes down to the side of this Kha'Zix. That's going to be a flash coming in from Herbert. Maybe another gold card will be able to secure a second kill here for the side of MGE. The gold card does come in. Are they going to be able to try and look for this one? No, they will not be able to find an action on the top side of the map. He gets handholder. Is he going to be able to get Hepo? He does find the double kill on the top side. Double teleports coming in response. Jin Lurk. This might be the Hashinshin teleport. Is he's going to be able to get knocked up underneath turret? That's going to be another kill for Cafe3 as Panda finds that one. It is a 2-2 across the board here for the solo laners of Cafe3, and tragedy in the early game for Eclipse.
And this gold lead's about to blow up already. It's already at 1,500 gold, but those extra teleports invested by MGE, they don't get any value out of that. That's going to sink even more gold into the hands of Cafe3 as this top lane is all but over, and they're just trying to find these picks. They need to play around this mid jungle combination. That's 2 levels up on this Rek'Sai, and Rek'Sai will be able to get out alive. So MGE, they're trying. They're really trying, Icarus. And I appreciate the effort. You get an A for effort, but effort's not enough. It's not transitioning into tangible things, and that's the issue.
And we see there just, I want to say that hold hander with being level 3 probably put in a second proc into his Q in order to get some extra damage out onto these minion camps early, but because he didn't get that level 4, he didn't have the jump available, and we see that in that top side fight it really did him some damage, and the bottom side jungle fight as well, he wasn't able to follow over the wall there onto Herbert, so it means that he wasn't able to secure that kill onto the Rek'Sai. You can't be looking for these kind of aggressive plays if you're not willing to level up that jump. You have to be trying to get those gap closes in there, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that he just didn't get that topside scuttle crab engage coming in from. Is that then? That's going to be the flash engage from Mind Warrior, though, who's able to get the first rotation in this game, forcing the flash out of this action. So that will be a vulnerable mid lane here for the side of Cafe3, and we said we needed to see some pressure coming in towards this middle lane here, and a shutdown onto Is That Them would be a great place for MG Eclipse to turn this game back.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep watch of. As I mentioned before, like, if you're the side of MGE, you need to just start pulling so many resources to try and just keep this auction down, but more importantly, it allows you to free up this TF to move around the map to gank these side lanes. And so far, like, they're following the plan. But the issue is, of course, what happened early on, and they're in a very deep hole already. That's not to mention that they're already in a 0-2 hole when it comes to this series, much less this game. So this first ult coming in from Hepo has to be massive.
That's going to be the Hextech ultimate coming out on the top side here. Panda trying to secure the
mid
kill
laners
onto
moving up.
Jin. Both junglers have rotated up towards the top side of the map, but it is Panda that goes down to start this one off. Handholder able to get a bunch of damage there. Hepo trying to find a way up to the top side of the map, but it's going to be Is That Them that's able to find the isolation kill, cutting him off in the river. The Twisted Fate not able to find a Destiny into the top half of the map. It is 1 for 1 at the end of the, or 2 for 1 at the end of the day, as that solo kill towards the mid side of the map is doing wonders here for Cafe3.
Yeah, the extra advantage coming in for, of course, this Akshan paying in dividends, and the fight just keeps going on. And what a snipe!
Stringy Bird finds the snipe with that deadly flourish as Kilroy goes down. Great steadfast presence from Mind Warrior. We were talking about it before, but this Poppy pick denying those engages from the bottom lane of Cafe3 is going to be the turnaround that allows for Stringy Bird to find himself a lead. Satchel Charge used, the chosen one. He doesn't have the flash available as he's already used it, and a charge into the wall. The 4th shot will miss, but it's going to be Hepa with one more auto attack that is able to secure that kill. A little scary there for a second that I thought Stringy Bird missed that stunned target.
Definitely a little bit of anxiety tripped up right there. Very close to missing out on that one, but it was still a long ways for that Ziggs to walk before he would actually be safe. So not too much worry. Just a little bit of maybe just one heartbeat skipped.
We've seen so much tragedy for MG Eclipse tonight. We didn't want to see more. Like, this top side has been such a tragedy, and you hate to see it because I like to see their aggression. I like to see how they're playing these early stages of the game. They want to try and find some leads, but it has just been Cafe3 doing a great... Was that a bug?
No, I think he just hook shot at the wall and was like, you know what? I'm not taking it.
I don't think that's an option for Akshan, though.
Pretty sure it is.
We'll find out. We'll send a ticket to Riot. We'll let him know.
He just stared it down and was like, yep, Kilroy. Yeah.
I could take this. I could take this wall hook shot.
I'd take it if you hit your skill shot, buddy.
But instead, we shall not. It is going to be Mind Warrior, though. This time, with the help of Cold Hander, they're coming in from the side.
This is it.
Chosen goes down.
This is
Kilroy,
it.
MG Eclipse. This is what we've been asking for all series so far. They able to find a couple of kills finally. Cold Hander 3-1-1. Stringy Bird 2-0-2. The bottom lane success coming in for MG Eclipse. This game might be the saving grace we've been looking for.
Yeah, and this is what we need from this bottom lane as well. This is a duo that is just so set up perfectly to facilitate this Cossack, and now, well, I feel like we've seen this scene before.
Oh, Jin, this is what happens when you don't run that flash on the tip side of the map. He goes down 0-4. The Sejuani is struggling to make things happen into this Rek'Sai Camille that's been playing so much pressure in the early game now. There is no dragon available for MG Eclipse to try and get on this bottom side of the map. Instead, he will settle. Cold Hander will settle with that Scuttle Crab in the river, as it will be that Rift Herald start on the top side here for Herbert as well, finding a great gank opportunity with that objective still available.
Yeah, Cold Hander, he just pretty much funneled into trying to get these dives going on over and over again down in this bottom side, but I love the fact that both of these teams have clear paths to try and win this game. For the side of MGE, it's now just snowballing around this bottom lane, get more kills onto this Kha'Zix, get this thing Omega fed, because if that's possible, you can just start one-shotting any target that's isolated, like an Akshan.
They did find the Akshan standing on the sides. That Destiny is
in trouble,
throwing up huge here for the side of MG Eclipse. That is going to be Kilroy. He goes over the wall, but it's going to cost him his life as the rest of MG Eclipse is rotating over here. Able to walk away from this one, fortunately, with the help of that Satchel Charge coming in from the Chosen. But what does it mean for the rest of the map here? Akshan able to get back towards that mid lane, clear out his wave. Jin has to back away here as he knows that the Akshan has left that middle lane. Will be getting collapsed on just a second. Will he be caught out here? It's going to be the engage coming in from this Akshan, but I don't think he's going to be able to find much besides a little bit of trade damage. Hubert on the bottom side, though. That's going to be the dashing coming in from Mind Warrior. Is he going to be able to get enough stunts here? The Gale Force hits the burst, the 4th shot. Shut down onto Hubert here. Mind Warrior is showing out of his mind here. The double engage Hippo comes in. That's going to be the Destiny that finally shows up here on the bottom side of the map.
So
and has to
squishy.
use the teleport down here as well as Jin, but he's got to see that Jin gets blown up. A double kill traded back as Panda goes down, and MG Eclipse, they find themselves an early game team fight success here as the more teleports are available on the blue side team.
Yeah, when it comes to pulling all the resources down into this bottom lane, you're going to have more tools available to make plays happen. And now the Chosen, he's just going to get deleted because it's an isolated target for the Kha'Zix. And that's going to turn into more plates for these carries. Heppo, Stringy Bird, they're going to be able to push themselves further and further ahead. And while this TF still, if you're stuck in a 1v1 against the Akshan, I take the Akshan every single time. But now when it comes to try and out-rotate, slowly but surely, Heppo is finding his ground to be able to make these plays and out-rotate this Akshan. And Akshan, I mean, as long as you're able to pass correctly and pass safely, then the Akshan can't punish you. He has to take a lot more risks then to try and cut off this Twisted Fate. And so far, that's a bit, he hasn't been able to have as much impact after that first fight, which really went into the dumpsters. But since then, not so bad for this Twisted Fate.
And I like to see that the play was made knowing that is that them shot on the top side of the map. The Akshan had rotated towards to try and pick off Jinjin, but immediately we see Heppo. He does make his way towards that bottom side. And
all hands on deck once more.
All hands on deck. As you said, this dragon spawning on the map in 15 seconds will mean that Mind Warrior once again disengaged, is able to find is that them. Akshan goes down, shut down, given over to Stringkeeper. That's gonna be Leona engaged to try to pick this one off. Huber gets into the backside as the Jin goes down, he goes Pop. Leona, Poppy left alone here, and Leona is there to stun it up. It will be a double kill for this Rek'Sai as Heppo shows up in order to try and get a response kill. He will be able to finish off the Rek'Sai, so 2 for 3 at the end of the day, but the Kha'Zix has gone down. There is no smite available for either one of these teams here, and it will be a disengaged Cafe3. They're still looking to respond. They still got fight in their pockets.
Yeah, and the big thing is really a large exchange of bounty gold going back and forth. With the shutdown, of course, onto the Akshan, who was 3-0. That's gold going into the hands of MGE. But on the flip side, it's shutdowns onto the Kha'Zix, onto this Twisted Fate, and on to, most importantly, that Jin. So a lot more gold going into the hands of Cafe3 in that instance, and being able to come out one more champ ahead. One of these carry champs means that the carry is able to get a little more gold when it comes to getting these minions. The extra EXP could come in handy for this next fight as they toss down Rift Herald to get a charge off in the mid lane. But it's really all about that wave priority to be able to get access to this next ring, in which they should be able to secure, but it does look like they're trying to challenge.
Curtain call coming in here. A pick on Kilroy trying to be made here. Force shot will come in. That will secure the kill here for Hold Hander. Meanwhile, the Dragon was secured by the side of Cafe3.
Maybe
more.
more.
In the meantime, is that them gets bursted out instantly by Hold Hander and Stringkeeper. But after Herbert, he is putting so much work into the pit. He's able to pick up one for himself, but it's only going to be the support picked up, whereas 3 members of Cafe3 have gone down. It may mean the Dragon that they sacrificed, but it's another team fight victory coming in here from MG Eclipse.
Yep, and I mean, it's one more scrap into the books. And MGE, they managed to find the collapse onto the fight. And yes, Cafe3, they get themselves a dragon. They're kind of put on pace for Dragon Soul. And unfortunately, 3 games in a row now, we've got Cloud Soul on the table. And this time around, I would say Cloud Soul's not as beneficial for this team, because you're looking, well, maybe this Ziggs can really apply 1-3-1 pressure because being just constantly shove out these waves with the ultimate, but at the same time, you're not getting a ton of value out of this ultimate this time around. You would have much rather preferred any other soul in this manner. So MGE, they get out a little bit off the leash this time around, not put in trouble due to the Dragon Soul. They have a little bit more freedom to play with, and at this point it's all about, hey, what can we do to continue to find picks? That's what this game's about, because you're soon onto that rapid fire cannon. You already have Predator, of course, onto this Twisted Fate pick, so you're already generating a lot of picks that way. But once this rapid fire cannon comes online, then like the moment you leave yourself alone, if you're the side of Cafe3 and Poppy and Twisted Fate are running at you, where's the gameplay possibility? There really isn't any, because the gold card comes down, you get stunned, the Poppy's standing on top of you. I mean, you have to burn flash every single time because you can't dash out, otherwise the Poppy's just gonna stop you.
It means lights out if you ever get caught by the Twisted Fate and the Poppy running at you with full speed. Predator Twisted Fate with that Destiny will be able to really secure a lot of these lockdowns. The RFC and the Everfrost available as well. The teleport is going to be used here. He goes into the backline, but that's going to be the Mega Inferno Bomb. Instantly deleted. Heppo goes down. Mind Warrior able to pick up the kill back on a Kilroy, but that is not the play that MG Eclipse needs to be looking for here when you give that shutdown gold donated right over to the hands of the Chosen.
Gold donated over, and yes, you're able to find yourself a pick, but I mean, it's not the Leona. The Leona's not really doing a whole lot, but Panda, if he gets picked off here, that's another issue.
That's a whole lot more going on here. Hubert is there to back up. The Chosen also on the rotation over. Holdhander is able to find one, but that's the execution coming in from downtown. Rek'Sai able to get in there. Double kill for the big, scary monster in the jungle. That's going to be a dashboard coming in. Great stand, or get steadfast presence in order to buy as much time as possible. Mind Warrior, he's playing with the vision.
Yep.
You can't see anything of your Hubert here, and he gets blown up. Heppo with the teleport, able to come in and secure his supports.
Everyone's
The
coming
Chosen
in
has
for
to
this.
get over the wall. Who's going to be able to find the kill onto this Rift Herald though?
Oh,
That's
it's
going to be the
reset.
reset. Shelly's going back home. Shelly doesn't want to be a part of this anymore as she walks away. And it's going to be MG Eclipse that also has to back off here. No junglers available. It's going to be a 2-for-2 at the end of the day.
I'm done with you fools. Get out of my face. I'm going home. That's what Shelly's saying there. It's just pandemonium here on the Rift. We're only 19 minutes into the game, Icarus. Look at how many kills we got. Way too
Absolute
many.
Chaos. Way too many. Absolute chaos here. I think Hextech
What do you know?
is
It's
available
another
here
kill.
for Panda Heppo. A little too far forward. Not enough members there to back him up, and it's going to be the Twisted Fate that goes down to the hands of this Camille on the top side of the map.
They get a tower at least, which, like, global gold wise, I guess it's equal, but you don't have to die for that, which is the big issue. As Jinjin needs to spot out an Akshan and try and take a 1v1 here.
Ooh, this is the 1v1 that we didn't know we were all looking for. Sejuani into the Akshan doing so much damage, taking up a lot of
armor built
damage
up,
so
too.
far, but that's going to be the ultimate coming in from Is That Them. The Glacial Prison will be tossed out just to make sure that the
Good
Rek'Sai stays at bay,
tag,
but the
but-
ultimate comes in. Hubert, he finds the submarine missile snipe, and he finds the execution. Holdhander is here once again to try and return this kill, but if some CC train perfectly lined up there by the Leon is able to return that
don't
one.
think
Make
he can
sure
do
the
this
shutdown doesn't go
anymore.
down. Oh my god, it's going to be the ultimate coming in by Heppo. He's going to be able to flash away though, as so does Hubert in order to make him way out to safety. The current call on the other side of the map is going to be able to try and find a snipe onto Is That Them, but will not be able to secure the kill after Hubert. Is That Them both out alive. Double kill picked up here from Cafe3 as they're rotating straight over towards this dragon. Third Drake picked up. Wind Soul for the third potential time being put on the map here for Cafe3.
And MG, I mean, they're really trying. They're trying to get picks. But that bot lane situation where they pulled in the teleport coming in, or the ult coming in from with the Destiny Gate, is what not quite it there. Once you use that ult, you see so many people dogpiling in from the side of Cafe3, you just gotta call that play off. And fortunately for them, they only lose their top and jungler in that situation. But now things are starting to peter out when it comes to their snowballing, because the game has stalled now. All of a sudden, Cafe3, they're on the cusp of obtaining that dragon soul, and problems are starting to arise. And Jinjin, he could also have a problem on his screen.
Ooh, flash into the hex type all the minute. There is nowhere for the Sejuani to go. the ultra mega bomb coming in from downtown, as well as the Chosen wants to make sure he finds an assist onto that bottom lane pick off there. The Ziggs, well, we haven't seen a whole lot of him so far this game. Has been doing just a fantastic job of being that stall factor here for Cafe3, clearing out wave after wave. There's been no turret's really picked up here from MGE despite the early game advantages. Kilroy going underneath turret. That's going to finally be the satchel charge coming in from Cafe3 in order to pick up that mid lane inner or outer turret. There is going to be a flank coming in from Fate on the side, but is he going to be able to find anything? Heppo has to back away here, as it's just going to mean that first turret in the mid lane being picked up by Cafe3 re-engage. Hubert wants to try and find his way onto the Kha'Zix, but will not be able to keep this one going as the rest of MG Eclipse are there to back up their jungler. It's going to be yet another turret picked up here on the bottom side of the map for Cafe3, and so far it just feels like they've been weathering the storm so fantastically.
Yeah, now put in this situation, like, MGE, they're really good at counter-punching with a lot of their ultimates, with, of course, the Poppy. But the issue is, it's so hard for them to start something off unless if they have the Poppy and the TF together to be able to really generate picks together, or, you know, as long as you have pairs, but...
No, Mind Warrior, not like this. Baron is on the table. Is that them? Is able to find the kill as the support goes down. Cafe3 already trying to make their pressure on the top side of the map. No, Panda X does get slowed down here, so he's not able to continue forward here. No flash available for that Hextech ultimate, and Heppo is going to be able to find the gold card, the Everfrost. They're trying to find the turn here. Kuroro's a little bit upriver without anybody there to help him. Jinjin,
they don't have the damage.
Where's the damage coming in? Though the Glacier Fissure misses, but the Ignite does not. Sejuani trades her life in order to pick up the support, but what else will it cost for MG Eclipse here? They lose their jungler, they lose their top laner. The support is just now spawning onto the map, and it's going to be Cafe3 on the back foot for the past 20 minutes, and they're going to be going to start up this Baron. They're currently 5,000 golden lead here, Nightstar. They want to try and end this series out in 3-0 fashion.
Man, if you look at the kill score, you can imagine, hey, this is a very close game, but you look at the gold, and that's where the big difference is. It's 6k gold into the hands of Cafe3. They've got such a large gold advantage, and yes, they're trying to generate a pick here. Yes, you got the lockdown, and that's actually a big pick. They're able to just bully through all of the stasis and the time stalling capabilities of that Ziggs to actually break him and now be able to break this mid turret. But can they get out alive? They will be able to do so. And a moment of reprieve for Eclipse, but there's still a dragon on the table in 40 seconds. And I mean, if they get that, it's still a whole lot of power into the hands of this Ziggs, but Akshan could be in trouble.
Akshan has to try and find the 1v1 versus Jinjin, but it won't be a 1v1 for long here. Kilroy coming in, but so is Heppo. The cleanse is going to be used, but Heppo getting blown up extremely quickly. It will be the Akshan that goes down to begin this one out. There is going to be an engage coming in from Hubert there, but he's not going to be able to ult the right socket here. Jinjin will go down eventually to that Mega Infernal Bomb, but Stringy Bird on the backside is stuck in the Hextech ultimatum versus Panda. That's going to be the shutdown. The AD carry is gone. The Ziggs is there to follow up because that teleport, which we have talked about since the beginning of this game, is up and available. Akshan doesn't even need to get the revive there because the death timer was so far in advance. Oh my goodness, the flash there from the Chosen in order to make sure that satchel charge, and the last auto attack from Hubert finishes off the kill on the Hold Hander. It will mean that the dragon will be secured. And almost ace being picked up here by the side of Cafe3 as they have swung this game around. They are 5,000, 6,000 golden lead here. The Dragon Soul confirmed for themselves. It is a triple win Drake game for Cafe3.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, like MDE, their composition is on a timer, right? We can't dodge around that. Having a Jhin and a TF for a backline does not bode well for you in the mid game. You're really missing out on a ton of damage, and it's not until you hit those 6 items, get Lich Bane, get full crit items onto your Jhin, that you're going to be able to turn things around. And that's yet another pick. Jhin trying to get vision for his team really unnecessarily in this situation. Baron's not up for another 3.5 minutes. There's no need to walk towards that area of the map, but he does it anyways and loses his life in the process. So it's getting harder and harder for the side of MGE to make a case to get back into this game.
Let's get back
when
into
it's
the series, really.
Yeah, remember this is 2-0 at the moment for Cafe3. So if they win this game, that series over, and that's Cafe3 headed into the finals. That's MGE headed into the third place match, which it's not the worst, but you'd much rather be in the finals rather than playing for third.
Yeah, and to update us on where the other series is at, hold on though, there's going to be a team fight breaking out. Mega Infernal Bomb doing so much damage to the frontline members
could just
of
be it.
Eclipse. That's going to be the action ulting out Mind Warrior here. This could be it to win it all. Gold card trying to buy time. Hubert is going to be able to get the ultimate off. He finds his way into the back line, unstoppable. He gets his assassination on the Heppo. Now he goes down finally for his efforts here, but not before finding the mid laner of Eclipse
They're
here.
so
Panda
deep.
goes in one more time, and he finds Hold Hander. Mid lane inhibitor is exposed. There is a minion wave up and available here for Cafe3. Do they want to try and end this one out? They want the 3-0 fashion. They do want to face up against their own division rivals in Resurrect, who have won their series 3-0, but they have to end this game first. One last minion in front of the base here. Another minion wave coming in here. Cafe3, they want to try and end this one out. Your top inhibitor has been exposed, but I don't think that they're going to be able to have what it takes to finish this one off. Kilroy defending his mid laner, stepping forward, willing to sacrifice his life to body block Jin here, who wants to try and dash forward here, does not have the ultimate available, and it will be the slow but sure disengage coming in from the side of Cafe3. One last ultimate coming in from Heppo here, though. Will be able to find the gold card, will not be able to find the follow-up, as a great blast cone to safety means that Is That Them gets out alive.
They're forced to use a whole lot of cooldowns in that instance, though, being having to force out that Leona ultimate. Also, of course, both sums on to the Akshan gives them a little bit of leeway, but because again it is double cloud, that ultimate should be back up available very, very shortly for this Leona. It's not a huge worry, and bigger worry is for MGE. Backs against the wall, staring down almost a 10k gold differential. It's very problematic, and you have 3 items onto your Jin. Is that enough, though? You would love to have this rapid fire cannon and add that extra range, and Lichbane completed onto Heppo as well, gives them extra damage, but pick here, that's going to be detrimental. That's it.
He goes down. Is That Them is able to find the first kill here. The wall hook shot, unfortunately, not going to be able to happen here. Heppo, though, will
That's
be taking
it.
the brunt of that Rek'Sai ultimate. Both the mid laner and the support down here for MG Eclipse. Stringy Bird, he gets CC'd. He has to flash away. He has to pop the heal, but it sacrifices the life of Jin here. I think you're right, Nightstar. I think this is going to be the 3-0 for Cafe3. Stringy Bird with the curtain call is able to find one on the backside, but it is only the Leona support here. A commanding game 2. A strong comeback here in game 3 as Cafe3. They want to end out the semifinal series here. Panda X, he goes in. He finds a double kill. He finds the ace, and it is Cafe3 that win the semifinal series here versus MG Eclipse in a 3-0 commanding victory. Ace after ace after ace as they finally take out the Nexus.
A dominating 3-0 coming in from our Ocean Division 1 seed in Cafe3. They have still not dropped a single game in their entire split. And look at who is across the map from them, or across the bracket from them. It's going to be Resurrection Esports, who had a 3-0 of their own. So it's actually Ocean Division rematch. Seed 1, Seed 2, Ocean Division. Apparently Ocean Division was just the best group in our conference.
And production just letting us know that Resurrection, coming in as the second seed from Ocean, the only team that did beat them so far has been Cafe3. So when it's coming down to this very final series here, it is looking like such strong, dominant teams here. Now, keep in mind, we've been talking all night. Cafe3 have gone undefeated in every single game, which means it was a 2-0 beat over the side of
Mm-hmm.
Resurrection
Yep.
Esports here, but if they have any time to prove themselves worthy, that was week 2 that this face-off happened. It is now the grand finals of UML here. This is where all the cards are going to be on the table, and with the best of 5 series here for Resurrection Esports, I wonder if they're going to be able to bring some more heat because they have had some more weeks to congeal. They have had some more time to really get their game plan put together. It's going to be a tough one with how strong Cafe3 is looking.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just so much diversity with their champion pools that it seems like they have all the answers when it comes to draft. That even if you bring out some sort of curveball pick, they've got the answer to it, or just all the answers to playstyles as well. We saw they attempted the Alawi, and that got shut down. You can kind of question whether or not it truly got shut down, but it didn't work.
It didn't
It
work.
still ended up with a loss. That's the big thing here.
Mhm.
So Cafe3 looking extremely, extremely dominant for Resurrection. It's on them to make Cafe3 sweat in the finals.
And there's no better way to approach this upcoming final series than two teams coming off of the back of a 3-0 semifinals victory. We know that these are going to be the strongest teams that we have available in this whole league, and I'm super excited to see where these final series are going to go. It is going to be another best of 5, so there is room for adaptation. I want to see Resurrection try and pull off at least a single game away from the side of Cafe3 here. Resurrection, they did go 2-1 in their in their quarterfinal series, so they do show a little bit of weakness, and they have lost to Cafe3 before, but now they know the play style. It's just all too much to take in right now, Nightstar. There's just too many possible timelines to try and consider at the moment.
There's definitely a lot to consider here, but Cafe3, even when put in an early deficit that we did see in this game, still able to find the tools and plays to come back. And I mean, this was a pretty scrappy series. Even though it was a 3-0, there was a lot of back and forth in the early portions of these games, a lot of fighting going on. So perhaps Resurrection, they can look for early scrap composition, but they need to find a scrapping composition that also scales, because that was the issue that we had in this particular game. Yes, MGE, they had the pick potential, they had the skirmish potential, but after 20 minutes, that potential dropped off considerably, and you saw then Cafe3 really turning things around in very dominant fashion.
And we got to give props to MG Eclipse. They did their best, and while it doesn't feel good to go home losing 0-3, you can't just walk away from this series saying, "Oh, it was a 3-0 one-sided stomp," because there was only one game that we would consider a really one-sided game, and that's that second game where we saw the early game lead for the side of Cafe3. In games 1 and 3, MG Eclipse put up a fantastic performance, and they just weren't able to convert some of those early leads and early champions into the mid game as solid as they need to see. And it's not always the easiest thing to do at this level of play, at the level of coordination. These mid to high diamond players, it comes down to how well you can congeal as a 5-man unit. And we said it last week. We've said it almost every single week that the team that is quicker towards the rotations, faster on the map, and at the objective sooner are the teams that are going to be able to find victory because they have the better setup for these team fights. And going into this final week, we have some of the best team fighting teams. We have some of the best teams that are there rotating for these objectives every single time.
Yeah, it's been these teams that have rotated as a 5-man unit that have performed better. And so we'll see going into finals which one of those teams will be that team to do so. But I don't have a whole lot of else to say here, Icarus.
There's not really much more to say other than next week will let us know
Same time,
who
same
the
place?
finalists. Same time, same place. We don't
Okay.
know where to find us. It's going to be 5 PST, 8 EST here on the Unified channel. But we're going to have the UML final series here between Cafe3 and Resurrection Esports. The first place versus second seed, the first seed versus second seed rematchup of the Ocean Division to determine who our final champions are going to be. Do not go anywhere. Do not forget to tune in, ladies and gentlemen. For myself, Icarus, for my co-caster, Nightstar. I thought there was another game for a second. And for our production, everyone at home, all of our sponsors, we thank you all for tuning in. We thank you all for being here. And we bid you adieu.